Chapter 974 Master God Tier Seed. Confronting Uriel, the battlefield of hundreds of billions of soldiers and generals suddenly fell silent because of the word supreme agreement. No one dared to touch this taboo. After a long time, a god spirit who was pitch black and exuded a terrifying true god tier aura walked out of the deities. He had white hair and carried 2 black axes that were tens of thousands of feet long. He was called Uriel, from one of the top races in the myriad worlds, the Titan gods. At the same time, he was also the strongest and highest commander of the people of foreign races. Common people's regal. His voice rumbled and was extremely penetrating. The space was shaken by his voice, producing transparent ripples that seemed to be able to shatter space and spread throughout the heavens. You said that this true god tier of the human race is your worshipped god spirit. Zhou looked at him with a solemn expression. Box novel. Calm so strong. This fellow's divine spirit realm was definitely at the true god tier advanced grade. Furthermore, it was infinitely close to the level of a master god tier. It was even likely that he had already experienced a trace of the power of will. He was only a step away from becoming a master god tier. A master god tier seed. These people of foreign races had actually sent out their master god tier seeds in order to destroy the human forces behind him. Fortunately, the Yellow Emperor had made a decision in advance and led most of the humans to retreat to the primordial world. Otherwise, once this fellow led an army over, not to mention ordinary humans, even true god tiers like the Yellow Emperor would probably not be able to escape this fellow's vicious attacks. Right. Even though the enemy he faced was very terrifying, Zhou still said calmly on the surface. How dare you? Uriel suddenly roared in anger. Even the laws of space trembled because of his roar. The human race actually dared to violate the supreme agreement and give you the true god of the human race as your subordinate to destroy the balance of the races. I, Uriel, the true god of strength and dominance, will definitely lead the allied forces of the people of foreign races to flatten your territory today and turn the matter of the Lord of all races back on track. As soon as he finished speaking, the hundreds of billions of soldiers of the people of foreign races and the thousands of god spirits under his command were already boiling with killing intent before he could do anything. They stared fixedly at Zhou and the tens of billions of soldiers behind him. They kept roaring offensive words in the language of various races, as if they were about to swarm over in the next second and drown Zhou and his soldiers and god spirits, tearing them apart and devouring them. Such a shocking aura. Even though Zhou's soldiers had experienced many battles, they could not help but feel terrified. Fortunately, they were not vegetarians. Even in the face of such strong pressure, they gritted their teeth and stared at the hundreds of billions of soldiers of the people of foreign races and the thousands of god spirits of the people of foreign races without any intention of retreating or fear. They'll fight if you want to fight. It was just a fight to the death. What did the soldiers and god spirits of the Blazing Sun Kingdom have to fear? As for Zhou, who was the first to bear the brunt of the auras of these people of foreign race god spirits and soldiers, he calmly received their terrifying auras. He even had the leisure to size up this true god tier of the people of foreign races. Uriel wasn't afraid of Zhou's gaze at all. He kept looking at him coldly. Zhou watched for a while. When he saw that the true god tier still had no intention of making a move, he uttered regretfully, "He is the original sin, and the true god of demon hunting, Geralt. He is indeed the offering of this king's worshipped god spirit. And since he can stand here safely, it means that the supreme agreement also acknowledges his identity. If you don't believe me, you can attack me. However, when the supreme will manifest the supreme eye to punish you, don't blame me for not reminding you before." With the help of the chaotic sacred power, Zhou's voice easily spread into the ears of all the people of foreign races present. Most of the god spirits looked like they had eaten shit when they heard this. Uriel's expression darkened as well. The reason why he didn't attack immediately after saying that was because he realized this. He had the honor of personally witnessing the might of the supreme agreement, and still had a deep impression of the supreme, heavenly might that couldn't be offended. Therefore, he was also afraid that what this common people's regal uttered was true. He was the seed of the Master God tier. He could not put himself in danger because of such a thing. That would not be worth it. The threat of the common people's regal was indeed great. However, it was not as important as his own life. He also felt that it was a pity. If only this common people's regal was lying, he could take the opportunity to attack he. As long as he destroyed the common people's regal, he would definitely be able to obtain the rewards from the elders in the clan. At that time, not to mention advancing to the Master God tier. Even if he reached the intermediate Master God tier grade, or even the advanced Master God tier grade, there might still be a glimmer of hope. Now that the common people's regal uttered this, his hope should be gone. However, he was still unwilling to trust it. How long has it been? What method did this common people's regal use to bypass the restrictions of the Supreme Agreement in such a short period of time, and allow another true God-level expert to appear in his territory? A true God tier from the common people's regal was already annoying enough. He actually had another true God tier under his command. How could they rely on the Lord of all races to restrict King of the Blazing Sun's development in the future? Moreover, he had swept through most of the Blazing Sun Kingdom's troops and God's spirit with a sweep of his divine sense. A look of doubt flashed across his face. What did they just see? Other than this true God tier, there were actually more than 100 God spirits under the command of the common people's regal. Furthermore, his soldiers had also reached nearly 60 billion. After reading it, there was only one thought left in Uriel's mind. How did this guy develop? This guy's Lord faction was not even an advanced kingdom, right? Why was the number of troops and God spirits already comparable to the number of troops and God spirits of some high-level Empire Lord factions? If he continued to develop, it wouldn't be long before he would have a Lord faction comparable to a Divine Kingdom's Lord faction. He felt troubled. Uriel carefully observed his surroundings and soon narrowed his eyes again. This god remembers that this is the Barkhouse city of the human race's Saha Empire. We're here to attack the human race. You're leading troops to guard this place now. Are you going to protect this city, or even the entire Saha Empire? Killing intent rose in the depths of Uriel's eyes again. If this common people's regal dared to say yes, he would dare to directly attack the common people's regal. At that time, so what if you were the number one lord of all races? Since you dare to interfere in the battle between the local forces of our high continent, I have a suitable reason to attack you. When the time comes, who cares if you are a lord of all races? To the local factions, the identity of a lord of all races was indeed a battle-free token, but it also had its limits. The lord of all races were not allowed to interfere in the battle between the local lords. Once the lords of the myriad races helped the local lords for their own selfish reasons, they could not blame the enemy for attacking the local lords. Faced with Uriel's question, Zhou Wen's expression was indifferent. He even smiled with interest. Let me reintroduce you. The Divine Sword Empire, the Night Empire, and the Saha Empire under my feet officially belong to me. Which means the territory you want to attack is the territory of this lord of all races. Please don't have any inappropriate thoughts about this king's territory. Otherwise, if anything happens to you, don't say that you didn't expect it. What? As soon as these words were spoken, all the people of foreign race god spirits and soldiers gazed at Zhou in disbelief. The territories of the three human empires now belong to this king of the blazing sun. How is this possible? Are you kidding me? Uriel was so furious that he laughed. The human race even gave you the territories of the three empires. Why don't you just declare yourself as the master of the human race? Chapter 975 Leave. Enjoy the main body and suffer the clone's departure. Zhou did not say anything. Instead, he summoned a four-colored throne from his king's treasure box. This four-colored kingdom was called the Four Primordial Soul Seat. It was a high-tier deity-level intermediate-grade divine artifact. It had the ability to suppress elemental attacks, assist in controlling the elements, assist in comprehending the four great laws of earth, water, wind, and fire, and a portion of defensive and self-protection divine artifact abilities. Of course, these effects were actually not very useful to Zhou, who had a full set of true god-tier weapons. But he sit down and act cool. That was enough. Like now, Zhou Wen sat calmly in the four primordial spirits' seat. He supported his chin with one hand and tapped the armrest with the other as he looked at Uriel with a faint smile. It's still the same thing. Box novel. Calm, if you don't believe me, you can attack and try. Uriel looked at Zhou Wen in bewilderment. The more magnanimous he was, the more it proved that he was confident in what he said. Could this fellow be anticipating that he would lead his troops to charge forward and then violate the supreme agreement and be killed by the supreme punishment? That was what Uriel thought. At this moment, when the other god spirits and soldiers saw Zhou Wen's arrogant appearance, they immediately became furious. They wanted to immediately rush over and teach Zhou a harsh lesson so that he wouldn't be so arrogant. However, when they saw that their highest commander Uriel had not made a move, they could only suppress their anger in their hearts. Seconds ticked by. Neither side made a move. At this moment, the battlefield was a little strange. Uriel's side was 10 times stronger than Zhou's, and the difference was even greater. However, the side that had the upper hand was the Blazing Sun Kingdom's side, where Zhou Wen was. Uriel's side, on the other hand, seemed to be in a dilemma. He wanted to fight, but he did not dare to. He wanted to retreat, but he was too embarrassed to do so. After a long time, Uriel took a deep breath and took a deep look at Zhou Wen. Then he turned around and ordered the people of foreign race soldiers and god spirits, retreat. As soon as he finished speaking, apart from a small number of people of foreign race soldiers and god spirits, who seemed to have guessed something, they looked at Zhou and company indignantly. Most of the people of foreign race soldiers and god spirits were shocked. Highest commander, why? Our military strength is clearly far superior to them. Why aren't we attacking? Your Excellency Uriel, you don't really believe that this fellow has the ability to take over the territories of the 3 human empires, do you? What right does he have to take over such a large territory? He is clearly scaring us. Your Excellency, are we retreating just like that? The people of foreign races said indignantly. They had crossed billions of light years with the intention of destroying the entire human race. Unexpectedly, before they had even taken down a human city, the highest commander on their side had already ordered them to retreat. Who would be willing to accept this? Shut up. Uriel looked coldly at the god spirits of the people of foreign races who opposed them. If you don't believe my judgment, you can barge into Bark City on your own. However, if you really want to do this, remember that regardless of whether you succeed or fail later, the consequences of your choice have nothing to do with me and the people of Foreign Race Alliance Army led by me. Don't think of implicating us later. Now get lost and obediently go do your job. Towards the end, Uriel's voice was filled with cold killing intent. These people of foreign race god spirits were unwilling? Did they think about how a master god tier seed like him would willingly retreat? As the commander-in-chief of this offensive operation, he originally felt that his face was not glorious enough because he had given the order to retreat. Would these god spirits of the people of foreign races still dare to rush in front of him and bark afterward? Was it really because he didn't dare to kill them? Many people of foreign race god spirits did not dare to offend this master god tier seed. No one dared to object anymore. At this moment, Uriel turned to look at Zhou Wen. Let's go to the territories of the Great Xia Empire and the Heavenly Barbarian Empire. He looked deeply at Zhou. That place is not the territory of this common people's regal. Zhou Wen looked at him calmly. Uriel smiled gently and led his army into the distance. After he left, the soldiers and god spirits on Zhou Wen's side heaved a sigh of relief. The pressure that Uriel and his army had put on them just now was too great. Even if they were prepared in advance and had the courage to fight them to the death, they could not help but be a little timid in the face of such a terrifying enemy. After all, most of the enemies they faced in the past were of similar strength, and their own strength often far exceeded the other parties. It was their first time experiencing such a situation where the enemy's strength was 10 times, or even more than their own, and they were already at their door. Then, they couldn't help but look at Zhou Wen. This was their first time experiencing it. His Majesty was the same. However, His Majesty actually faced the other party so calmly, Moreover, he did not fall for the enemy's verbal trap at all. With just a word he forced the other party back. Their hearts were filled with admiration for such boldness that could remain calm even if Mount Tai collapsed. As expected of their majesty, Spellcaster Gaga looked at His Majesty's imposing back as he sat on the throne, and said with reverence in the crowd, he forced back hundreds of billions of enemies with a single word. His Majesty is the calmest and most fearless spellcaster king I've ever seen. Of course, Bai Yin and the rest also recovered from their frightened emotions. They said proudly after hearing Spellcaster Gaga's words. His Majesty had never disappointed them. He would always be the object of their pursuit and learning. At the same time, Zhou Wen, who was sitting cross-legged in the 4 primordial soul seats, had an incomparably profound gaze. He didn't feel proud of using words to force the other party back. He was just using the Supreme Agreement as a flag to scare the other party. They were afraid of the Supreme Agreement, not he himself. If not for the Supreme Agreement, Uriel would have led all the soldiers of the people of foreign races, and the god spirits of the people of foreign races to attack together. Apart from himself, Bai Yin and the rest would probably have died. He was thinking about the Great Xia Empire and the Heavenly Barbarian Empire. Go on. You'll only find that there's not a single human left there. All that's left are self-built buildings that even the building blueprints have been taken away. Zhou Wen was filled with disdain. Still, he looked in the direction they had left and gradually made up his mind. Sooner or later, his main body would also bring an endless army of blazing suns to your race's territory, destroy your race, and seize your territory. He came from the same source as Zhou Zhou's main body. What he was thinking now was almost equivalent to what Zhou Zhou's main body would think after knowing about this matter. Then, he turned to look at Bai Yun and company. Continue guarding the territories of the 3 empires. Be careful and pay attention to their movements at all times. Be careful that they will make a comeback. He said. Yes, Your Majesty. The soldiers said respectfully. Zhou Wen nodded and slowly hid in his space. Even though he had disappeared, everyone was still calm and filled with a strong sense of security. That was because they knew that their Majesty was currently sheltering them in the dark. The Blazing Sun Kingdom. In the Divine Kingdom passageway, in the Reincarnation Sacred Palace. Zhou Zhou opened his eyes. If nothing goes wrong, this matter should have come to an end. He thought to himself. Even Uriel wouldn't dare to violate the Supreme Agreement and invade his human territory. With Zhou Wen's perspective, he could tell that the fellow valued his life very much. It didn't seem like an existence that would risk his life for a race mission. Next, he would continue to focus on his activities. He would hunt the target of the Eye of the Heavens' anger and increase the level of his territory. It was time for his kingdom to be upgraded to an advanced kingdom. But the next time I encounter such a thing, I can use my will to seize the body of my clone and control it to experience what he has experienced. This way, we can go through some dangerous and exciting things. If I encounter a danger that's enough to kill me, only my clone will die, not my main body. Zhou Zhou thought to himself. It had to be said that it was very gratifying to show off in front of his subjects and enemies. Let me go through this as my main body. Usually, he would let his clones will control his body before returning to his main body in the king's city. This way, he could maximize his safety and interest without delaying his comprehension of the laws. It could be said to be killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Chapter 976 The Foreign Race Alliance is retreating? The next day, in the Reincarnation Sacred Palace, Zhou Zhou, who was sitting cross-legged on a golden mat, slowly opened his eyes. He received news from Zhou Wen the moment he woke up. The territories of the Great Xia Empire and the Heavenly Barbarian Empire have been attacked by the people of foreign races led by Uriel. Under their attacks, the territories of the 2 empires have turned into nomological death zones. Unless an existence at the Master God tier level takes action to eliminate the danger of the nomological death zones, I'm afraid no life forms will be able to live in them for at least 100,000 years. After Zhou Zhou received the news, his expression turned even colder. Zhou Wen, get Bai Yin to record the identities of all the attackers. He sent a voice transmission. Sure. Zhou immediately replied. Zhou didn't say anything else. He just looked at the starry sky of the divine world outside the temple, Uriel, and the participants of the people of foreign races. One day, I will definitely do this to your territory 10 times or 100 times over. He said softly. It wouldn't take too long. What happened after they did this? What did they do now? Zhou asked after a moment of silence. They're retreating now. Zhou replied. Zhou frowned slightly. Retreat? How is that possible? This time, they came with more than 500 billion soldiers, more than 5,000 to 6,000 god spirits, and dozens of true god tiers. In addition, he himself is a master god tier seed. Will he be willing to destroy an uninhabited territory, and then retreat dejectedly? Even if he is willing, what will the people of foreign races led by him think of him? What will the upper echelons of the titans who sent him think of him? If he really did that, the powerhouses he knows, and those who know he will definitely label him as incompetent. How could he, a titan who values his future so much, make such a choice that would affect his future? The more Zhou thought about it, the more he felt that there was something fishy about the enemy's retreat. Tell Wu Tu not to let down his guard. They won't retreat so easily. Zhou reminded him. Sure. Zhou said concisely. In addition, Zhou thought for a moment and his expression turned cold. Order Wu Tu to start gathering information on the people of foreign races, who had previously stopped the humans from retreating to the primordial world. The foreign races who have the power of an empire-level lord will not move for the time being. However, those racial factions that don't have empire-level lord factions, and are at most kingdom-level lord factions dare to take advantage of the situation when our human race is in danger. Now that I've freed up my hands, I'll bring my troops back one by one. There are too many races involved in this crusade against the people of foreign races. There's no way to hide it. In that case, let's do it openly. First, send a letter of surrender to these races and forces, ordering them to surrender tactfully. If they are willing to surrender and join my blazing sun kingdom, we can let bygones be bygones after a small punishment. However, if they are unwilling to surrender and insist on resisting stubbornly, don't blame us for attacking them. If they would rather die than surrender, then we'll find a good home for them. Let these people of foreign races who would rather die than surrender be annihilated. Towards the end, even though Zhou's voice was light, the coldness in his voice could not be concealed. Annihilation. This was an extremely cruel term for any faction. However, in this battle involving countless races in the myriad worlds, such things were actually not rare. It could even be said to be common. Didn't Uriel come to their human territory with the intention of annihilating their race? If not for the primordial world left behind by Imperial Lord Pangu, which could be the last place for the human race to rest and take refuge, the human race would probably have been plunged into a crisis of extinction. On the first day that Zhou descended to the Supreme Continent, he thought that if he became stronger in the future, he might inevitably encounter such a thing. Therefore, he was already mentally prepared. Since these hostile people of foreign races had previously stopped them from retreating to the primordial world and almost caused their race to be annihilated, now that the human race was temporarily out of danger, he could not be blamed for counter-attacking with even more ruthless methods. The other party had already maliciously wanted them to be annihilated. Even if it was just a helper, there was no need for him to think for them. He had to return the favor 10,000 times over. This was what Zhou was thinking. Sure. Zhou said. Then wait for me to bring my troops back first. Then, Zhou ended the telepathic conversation with Zhou. After Zhou ended the call, he thought for a while before deciding not to think too much about it. Instead, he began to form the Heaven's Aversion seal in his hand, and used the Eye of the Heaven's Anger to continue searching for his target. The next day, in the Reincarnation Sacred Palace, Zhou opened his eyes and could sense it. It was Bai Yun who had brought her troops back. He had two thoughts. Most of his divine thoughts were still in his main body, as he continued to use the Eye of the Heaven's Anger. As for the other small portion of divine sense, It entered Zhou consciousness and took over his divine body. Outside the city gate in the blazing Sun Kingdom, Zhou, whose divine body had been taken over, had a dazed look in his eyes before returning to normal. He heard Bai Yun's respectful voice. Your Majesty, I'll first bring the soldiers to the Triumphal Arch, then go to Lord Mugu to clean up the ranchland plain. After collecting all the information about their advancement, I'll report to you with the war general. Bai Yun said respectfully. Sure. Zhou nodded. Then, he said, ask them to rest for 2 hours. After 2 hours, you will set off again. First, conquer the 3 intermediate-grade Crimson Kingdoms, under the Crimson Overlord's command around our territory. Then go and hunt the Heavenly Aversion target. As long as he conquered 3 more ultimate Crimson Kingdoms, under the command of the Crimson Overlord, Zhou would fulfill all the conditions to upgrade the Blazing Sun Kingdom to an Advanced Kingdom, and officially upgrade the Blazing Sun Kingdom to an Advanced Kingdom. Actually, he still needed to conquer 2 intermediate kingdoms that were not under the command of the Crimson Overlord. However, when they were expanding their territory some time ago, Bai Yun and the rest had conquered 3 intermediate kingdoms that were not under the command of the Crimson Overlord. This left only one condition for the Blazing Sun Kingdom, to advance to an Advanced Kingdom. Yes, Your Majesty, Bai Yun said respectfully. In fact, they had already rested for the night yesterday, and did not feel tired. They could have set off immediately after cleaning up the ranchland plain. However, resting for another 2 hours could also improve his condition. Therefore, he thought for a moment and didn't say anything else. Zhou nodded and walked into the capital alone. He used illusionary spells to change his appearance into that of an ordinary scholar as he walked. It would take some time for Bai Yun and the rest to clean up the ranchland plain. During this period of time, he might as well change his appearance and take a stroll around the capital in different identities. During this period of time, he had led troops into battle, ascended to godhood, and comprehended laws. He was occupied with all sorts of matters. Now, as he walked on the thoroughfares of the capital, and gazed upon the various countenances of the subjects on either side of the road, as well as the way, they were fleeing for their lives, their families, themselves, and their future. Zhou suddenly came to the realization that it had been a long time since he had taken a closer look at the lands and subjects that he had guarded with all his might. Chapter 977 Experience. The Ultimate End of Civilization. One-person civilization. I'm selling Lingji flour pancakes, high-quality Lingji flour pancakes. Customers, take a look. This taste, this pattern, it's rarely seen in the entire Blazing Sun Kingdom. Have a taste, try it for free. Opening for business. Opening for business. I, the city lord of Wani merchant, buy travel clothes, buy matching travel suits, and even give local travel guides. The Thousand Realm Tourism Club next door is our business partner. It operates honestly and doesn't deceive anyone. The Nine Blades Divine Weapon Shop has opened its membership area. Welcome to the registration. Customers who enroll as members can get a 20% discount on customized new weapons in the future. Repairing weapons will cost half the price. As if I would believe you. Don't raise the price first and lower it later. Disgusting. The New Wind location has launched a new outfit, New Wind 76. This new set of clothes has improved the flying function of this outfit. It can fly higher, faster, and further. The energy usage is also 6% lower than the 75 model. Furthermore, the safety has been greatly improved. We also provide unexpected rescue functions. We guarantee that we will not have to worry about traveling. Everyone is welcome to purchase it. The Super God Game Club is looking for a professional chef. The minimum requirement is an extraordinary tier chef. It's best if you're good at making cerulean planet ingredients. We offer good treatment. All old masters are welcome to apply. Zhou suddenly saw a tall building as he walked. The name of this building was Mixed Virtual Reality Experience World. Zhou raised his eyebrows and walked in. As soon as he entered the first floor, he saw a silver robot floating about 50 centimeters above the ground. It quickly noticed Zhou and flew in front of him at a comfortable speed. Excuse me, This is the Guidance Robot 7. Do you want to experience mixed virtual reality? It asked. Yes. Jojo nodded and asked with a smile. What services do you have here? Mixed virtual reality is a great invention. There will be countless services in the future because of it. Currently, we have only opened 6 functional experience areas for the time being. The first functional experience area is the Gaming World Experience Area. You can enter an independent gaming world. You don't have to wear any equipment to experience all kinds of incomparably realistic gaming world experiences. The second functional experience area is the Combat Profession Growth Experience Area. You can enter an independent combat world and receive the full guidance of the Combat Mentor NPC. Our Combat Mentor NPC can help you quickly improve your combat skills through the virtual reality battlefield and virtual reality enemies without hurting you. The combat skill experience you can obtain can be perfectly replicated in the real world. The third functional experience area is the Life Profession Growth Experience Area. You can enter an independent world of lifestyle professionals. This world is made up of 236,727,688 legendary tier lifestyle professional NPCs. There are more than 1.8 billion exclusive workplaces for lifestyle professionals to improve their profession level, such as the Blacksmith Inheritance Tower, the Elemental Field Reaction Area, the Large Particle Collision Laboratory, the Beast Taming Area, the Astronomical Area, the Materials Analysis Area, the Cooking Hall, and so on. You can apply for any legendary tier life profession NPC to guide you personally for free. You can increase the level of your life profession that you want to improve, or you can enter a place suitable for you to increase the level of your life profession and train your life profession alone. Temporary attributes are provided for free in both venues. The attribute panel can show that you currently have professional abilities and will use words, images, and telepathy to convey which of the professional skills you have mastered have reached the qualified level of professionals of the same level, and which skills have not reached the qualified level of professionals of the same level. The attribute panel will search for similar, but more outstanding examples according to the ultimate database. From there, it will take advantage of your strengths to complement your weaknesses and personally guide your professional skill level, allowing your professional skill level to steadily increase. Furthermore, the attribute panel will also give a specific implementation plan for the subsequent maintenance of proficiency. It will ensure that your professional skill level will only increase and not decrease. The fourth functional experience area is the Virtual Lord Continent Strife Zones. You can enter a Virtual Lord Continent world and become a lord with a random lord talent. Then, you can compete with the Virtual Scarlet Lord faction and the Virtual Local Lord faction for the title of Lord of all races. The fifth functional experience area is the Heavenly Virtual Tourism World. You can travel to the myriad worlds in our world. The sixth functional experience area is the Heavenly Gourmet World. You can sample the different delicacies of various worlds in our world area. The beautiful scenery and delicacies of the last 2 world zones were 100% replicated, according to the inheritance records of the Myriad Races Inheritance Tower, established by His Majesty. I guarantee that they won't be inferior to the scenery and sample of the original world. The experience price of each world zone is 1 extraordinary tier Miss Core per day. Which world zone do you want to experience? The robot asked. The Life Profession Growth Experience Area. Jojo pondered for a few seconds and said, in terms of combat, he, who sat on the throne of the king, didn't lack experience in this aspect at all. On the other hand, he seldom dabbled in life professions. Now he wanted to try something new and experience this virtual hybrid reality technology. Will do. Seven nodded and said to the air in front of him, please open the Life Profession Growth Experience Area. Approval requested. A gentle female voice sounded from the robot. The next second, a door of light made of silver data appeared in front of Jojo. Customer, please enter. The robot said. Jojo nodded and walked in. More than an hour later, Jojo walked out of the door of light in surprise. Customer, how was the experience? Can you give us a 5-star review? When Zhou heard this, he looked at the white platinum tier intermediate grade puppeteer option that appeared out of thin air in his life profession column. In the end, he nodded readily. Downstairs in the mixed virtual reality experience world, Zhou looked at the building, and his expression became more and more emotional. This is a mixed virtual reality technology with a database. Even though my comprehension potential has already reached the limit of the world, or even surpassed it, however, to be able to raise a life profession that I've never come into contact with to the white platinum tier intermediate grade in more than an hour, I still think it's a little ridiculous. And the ultimate database has unlimited growth potential. When I was leveling up the puppeteer life profession, there were only 123,777 learning groups in the database, of which only more than 84,000 were black iron tier to white platinum tier intermediate grade. If the number of people in this learning group can increase by 100 or 1,000 times, my improvement speed will probably be even faster. Perhaps in less than an hour, I can become a diamond tier or extraordinary tier puppeteer, or even higher. As long as there are enough comparative study groups, perhaps ordinary people can reach my level. Even the stats interface can rely on so many professionals to summarize a perfect puppeteer's career path. To summarize the life experiences of billions of life forms, to achieve a perfect professional growth. Generation after generation after generation of stronger professionals. The ultimate end of civilization is a one-person civilization. After experiencing the experience just now, Zhou's mind was filled with endless thoughts about civilization. After a long time, only then did he smile and shake his head. He left this place and returned to the Divine Kingdom. Chapter 978 War Summary. 80 billion soldiers. Bai Yin stood respectfully in front of His Highness in the Divine Kingdom's main hall. Zhou looked at the war data projection in front of him. From yesterday to today, even though Bai Yin and the other soldiers and god spirits had only fought with the people of foreign races for one morning, they had wiped out a total of 48 billion people of foreign races and 35 god spirits in this short morning. The war resources left behind by these enemies and their combat items were enhanced by the title of King of Loots and the Strongest Lord. They obtained a total of more than 998,800,000 legendary tier mist cores, more than 6,466,000,000 epic tier mist cores, more than 92,012,000 extraordinary tier mist cores, more than 1,350,600,000 diamond tier mist cores, more than 2,050,077,000,000 white platinum tier mist cores, more than 2,860,077,000,000 yellow gold tier mist cores, more than 8,860,500,000,000 white silver tier mist cores, and 8 billion green bronze tier bronze mist cores. There were over 1,030,000,000,000 skill books, and 8,600,000,006,000 pieces of equipment. B0XO. Calm. The basic materials were about 350,000 trillion units. More than 10,350,000,000 units of basic elemental gemstones. More than 480 million units of thunder element gems. 310 million units of life elemental gems. 350 million units of death elemental gems. 7,012,000,000 origin crystals. 150,500,000 green bronze tier Lord Talent crystal fragments. 181,650 Holy Spirit tier faith divine crystals. More than 230 million units of divine crystals, from low tier to high tier deity level. 100 true god tier elementary grade divine crystals. More than 12 million low level to high tier deity level divine artifacts. 36 true god tier divine artifacts. There was also a total of about 5 million divine spark fragments, god tier medicinal herbs, god tier ingredients, god tier ores, god tier blueprints, and other treasures. Zhou nodded slightly after reading this part of the summary. Even though Bai Yin and the others did not kill as many enemies as they did the day before yesterday, in terms of the total number of loots, they had more than the day before yesterday, and the quality was also higher. This meant that the strength of the soldiers and god spirits sent by the people of foreign races yesterday morning exceeded that of the day before yesterday. However, it was a pity that in the face of the terrifying military strength and combat strength of his soldiers and god spirits, they could only be defeated. I've killed more than 100 billion soldiers from these people of foreign races after 3 days of war. This should reduce a portion of their strength and racial heritage. This way, when I lead my troops to attack them in the future, it should be easier. Zhou thought. Then, his gaze landed on the life elemental gems and death elemental gems. Another third of the upgrade requirements have been met. With another harvest like this, I can increase the level of my territory. He nodded in satisfaction. Then, Zhou looked at the god spirit list, the insight defection list, and the military strength list. He first looked at the list of god spirits. And now, the 10 scarlet god spirits imprisoned in the 9 Nether Fiend Celestial Prison had already been insight defection by all the members of the Star Alliance. Moreover, after the battle yesterday morning, another 15 legendary tier advanced grade soldiers advanced to the lower realm. This also brought the number of god spirits under Zhou's command to 185. He fell into deep pondered when he saw this result. The number of new god spirits has nearly doubled compared to yesterday. This should have the function of increasing the probability of becoming a god with the ice spirit sacred heart. Zhou speculated. A smile appeared on his face. This race's divine artifact was really not bad, since it had already begun to take effect as soon as he obtained it. Then, he gazed at the insight defection list. First of all, Zhou had used the insight defection twice in his place on the battlefield yesterday. Moreover, it was against 2 people of foreign races with a body mass of 5 billion. In the end, these 2 insight defections directly led Zhou to 4,216,827,658 people of foreign races soldiers. As for the other group of Star Alliance masters who did not obtain the quota for the insight defection, they had also given Zhou 1,056,008,602 people of foreign race soldiers, after following the army to participate in the war with the foreign races today. The total number of soldiers under Zhou's command was now 57,317,897 soldiers, including the Star Alliance's current total of 13,782,000,000 soldiers. The total number of troops under Zhou's command had already reached an astonishing 71 billion soldiers. Among the troops under his command, excluding the Star Alliance, there were 1,096,854,427 Black Iron Tier soldiers, 5,688,083,615 Green Bronze Tier soldiers, 20,890,600,000 White Silver Tier soldiers, 10,232,900,790 Yellow Gold Tier soldiers, 7,987,022,600 White Platinum Tier soldiers, 5,969,650 Diamond Tier soldiers, 4,136,800,000 Extraordinary Tier soldiers, 1,312,500,000 Epic Tier soldiers, and 4,023,982 Legendary Tier soldiers. As for the god spirits under him, after today's battle, their strength had also increased astonishingly. Among them, Wuxia, Qi Xiantian, and Yuan Song had advanced to high-tier deity level elementary grade. Vicky, Bai Yun Wu Xian, Feng Luo, Suan, and Luo Sheng had all advanced to the mid-tier deity level intermediate grade. The strength of the other god spirits had also increased to a certain extent. Zhou tapped his right hand gently after he finished reading, and the war data projection in front of him dissipated. Your Majesty, this is the spoils of war from the Ranchland Plain today. When Bai Yin saw this scene, she took the initiative to hand a silver ring to Zhou. Zhou agreed, and brought the ring to the gate of summoning with Bai Yi. In front of the gate of summoning, Zhou stood there, and threw all 13.5 billion yellow talisman Dao soldier recruitment books and 3.75 trillion violent storm spirit recruitment books into the spatial ring. Then, he summoned for the 20 empty galaxy as usual, and made all the soldiers appear in the inner world of the galaxy. Finally, he used 100 epic tier mist cores to summon all the recruits at once. The next second, the 20 galaxy spaceships were packed to the brim with 25 billion soldiers. The number of soldiers under my command is now 897,004. Plus the Star Alliance's 782 billion. The total number of soldiers I can lead has already reached more than 3 billion. Zhou agreed in his heart. This way, the total number of soldiers under his command would officially exceed 100 billion tomorrow. 100 billion soldiers. This number was already equivalent to 1/5 of the soldiers that Uriel had brought. In addition, the soldiers under Zhou were either kingdom-level soldiers or empire-level soldiers. They didn't even have a high-level soldier type that was one level lower. This made their individual combat power far exceed that of soldiers of the same level. If they were to fight against the 500 billion people of foreign races under Uriel's command, as long as the gods on Uriel's side did not make a move, Zhou's side might even have a chance of winning. Unfortunately, the other party's god spirit would definitely make a move. Otherwise, Zhou might have brought these soldiers to destroy Uriel and the others. As for now, it was better to lay low and develop for a while. Then, he handed these recruits to Bai Yin to arrange, and began to summon the subjects of today's Gate of Summoning. Chapter 979 Three Goods. Bloodline of the Chaos God's Race. 9 Heavens Technique. Mineral Contract. Zhou called out silently in his heart. The following second, with the disappearance of the 100 epic tier mist cores, the entire Gate of Summoning flashed with white light. Then, 44,000 new subjects appeared in the open space in front of the Gate of Summoning. Zhou glanced at the new subjects. What disappointed him was that none of the professionals summoned this time were rare profession owners worth paying attention to. It seems that the owner of a rare profession can't be summoned every time. Zhou thought. He was not very disappointed. The subjects summoned by the Gate of Summoning every day were just icing on the cake for Zhou after all. It was naturally better to have it, but it didn't matter if he didn't have it. Then, he strolled to the Lord's shop. "Greetings, Your Majesty," Zhou Qingmin said respectfully. When Zhou heard this, he sized him up carefully. When he realized that he really did not discover his identity, he could not help but feel a little emotional. This talent, doppelganger technique, was really not bad. Even Zhou Qingmin, a living being created by his Lord Talent, could not tell that he had actually come with a clone and not his main body. Of course, it was indeed Zhou's will that controlled this Zhou clone. "Bring out today's merchandise." Zhou chuckled. "Yes, Your Majesty." Zhou Qingmin took out 3 golden boxes from under the counter and placed them on the counter. Zhou looked over subsequent to he opened them one by one. Zhou raised his eyebrows when he saw the initial item. This was because it was actually a chaotic colored heart that emitted a chaotic aura. The surface of the heart was still circulating with the aura of the chaotic bloodline. Finally, this merchandise has arrived. When Zhou saw this item, he could not help but sigh. This item was none other than the Chaos Beast. No, it should be said that it was the bloodline of the Chaos God's race. Bloodline name: Chaos God's Race Bloodline. Bloodline level: True God Tier Advanced Grade. Bloodline effect: the user can obtain the bloodline of the original spirit race after absorbing it. After fusing with this bloodline, the user will gradually awaken the bloodline ability of the original spirit race during their growth. Zhou looked at the heart that was circulating with the chaotic aura and recalled the inherited memories of the Chaos Human bloodline. In fact, when the Chaos Humans were at their peak, when the underage Chaos Humans were about to reach adulthood, they needed to carry out a hunting activity and complete their coming-of-age ceremony. Only then could they truly be considered an adult Chaos Human who could take charge. And the target of this hunting activity was the Chaos Beast. It's time for me, a Chaos Human, to become an adult. Zhou looked at the Chaos God's Race bloodline and smiled. He wasn't in a hurry to immediately buy. Instead, he looked at the other 2 items. The second item was a law skill book called the 9 Heavens Technique. Law skill name: 9 Heavens Technique. Law Skill Quality. Enhanceable, True God Tier Advanced Grade. Introduction to Law Skills. A secret skill of flying laws mastered by the bloodline descendants of the Chaos God clan Kuan Peng, which can grow up to the True God Tier Advanced Grade. True God Tier Kuan Peng once used this 9 Heavens Technique. With a flap of his wings, the 9 worlds passed in an instant. This technique was also known as the number 1 flying nomological secret technique of the Chaos God's race. Zhou Zhou stroked his chin subsequent to reading it. A descendant of the Kuan Peng bloodline? He thought about it and quickly remembered that when he had previously instigated the Chaos God's race, under the Great One Lord in the divine battlefield, there was indeed a Chaos God's race member who looked like a fish and a bird. So he was the descendant of the Kuan Peng True God Tier? Not bad, not bad. I've already received your 9 Heavens Technique. This king will definitely reward you well when you return to the Blazing Sun Kingdom one day. Zhou Zhou thought happily. He then looked at the last item. The last item was a contract. Treasure name. Mineral contract. Mineral space elemental gem mine. Treasure grade. Low tier deity level. Treasure effect. After signing the deed, the owner will have a miniature iron ore with a resource reserve of 100,000 tons. Treasure description. A treasure that can make mineral resources appear out of thin air in the territory. Mineral contract. Zhou Zhou was not surprised. Previously, he had already obtained many such contracts when he opened the regional treasure chest. They were widely distributed throughout the territory of the Blazing Sun Kingdom. What surprised him was the type of mineral. Spatial elemental gem mine. Zhou Zhou looked at the contract and stroked his chin. According to the Yellow Emperor and the others, this is a necessary upgrade resource for an empire-level lord to upgrade their territory. I'm about to advance to an advanced kingdom. After that, I'll have to prepare the resources to advance to a junior empire. This spatial elemental gem mine came at the right time. After a lord's faction rose from a kingdom to an empire, what they needed were not life elemental gems or death elemental gems, but the even rarer time and space elemental gems. The latter was harder to collect than the former, and the area of production was extremely rare. Typically, only god spirits had the ability and channels to collect 2 types of gem resources. Zhou Zhou was still thinking about what to do when he needed these 2 types of gems to upgrade his territory in the future. With the bloodline inheritance he currently grasped, he did have some means of obtaining it, but he had to incur a cost and might even encounter some danger. He didn't expect to suddenly give him a mini spatial elemental gem mine for free today. It was a pleasant surprise. If there are no surprises, the bloodline of the Chaos God's race, the secret technique of the 9 Heavens Technique, and this miniature spatial elemental gem mine should have been provided by that descendant of the Kuan Peng's bloodline. The bloodline of the Chaos God's race, the secret technique of the laws of the 9 Heavens, and this miniature spatial elemental gem mine should have been provided by that descendant of the Kuan Peng's bloodline. Zhou Zhou sighed. He remembered that the descendant of the Kuan Peng's bloodline seemed to only be at the extraordinary tier level at that time. An extraordinary tier life form could master true god tier, nomological secret techniques, and mineral resources that even an empire-level lord faction could not wish for. This was simply unimaginable for living beings from other ordinary races. However, to top bloodline life forms like the Chaos God's race, the Shepherd's God race, and the original Spirit race, this was probably an extremely ordinary matter. He shook his head and stopped thinking about it. He asked, "How many mist cores do these 3 goods cost?" Zhou Zhou asked. The bloodline of a true god tier advanced grade Chaos God is worth 20,000 legendary tier mist cores. The growth limit is a true god advanced grade nomological secret technique, the 9 Heavens Technique. It's worth 15,000 legendary tier mist cores. Low tier deity level elementary grade mineral deed, miniature spatial elemental gem mineral, worth 100 legendary tier mist cores. Zhou Qingmen said, "I'll buy it." Zhou Zhou said devoid of hesitation. Then, he took out 35,100 legendary tier mist cores and handed them to the other party. "Thank you for your business." Zhou Qingmen packed up the goods and handed them to Zhou Zhou, as he said with a smile, After Zhou took it, he immediately turned around and went to play games. Zhou did not say anything else, and returned to his divine kingdom, subsequent to he received the goods. Then he took out the Chaos God bloodline from the 3 goods, and fused it into his Chaos human bloodline. Chapter 980 Absorbing the Chaos God's Race Bloodline. High-tier deity level elementary grade Chaos human bloodline. In terms of absorbing bloodlines, Zhou's main body naturally absorbed them. After Zhou's main body absorbed the Chaos God's Race bloodline, he immediately felt his heart beat faster. His heart beat faster and faster, making him seem like an engine that was constantly increasing the horsepower. His body temperature also rapidly rose. What was weird was that Zhou felt even calmer in this state. This contradictory yet harmonious state of him made him enter an extremely mysterious state. In this state, he felt that he had a very clear perception of all the laws in the world. It was at least 10 times stronger than before he entered this state. He could even clearly comprehend the chaos origin laws above the myriad laws through this state. As Zhou immersed himself in his own state, he seemed to have realized something. It turned out that absorbing the Chaos Beast's bloodline was actually so beneficial to the Chaos humans. It could actually allow the Chaos humans to better comprehend the Chaos laws. One had to know that the upper limit of the Chaos law was extremely high. Even if it was inferior to the Lord's law, it was not much different. A deity who walked the path of the Chaos nomological laws had a chance of becoming in existence at the Master God tier, Supreme God realm, or even willpower level in the future. No wonder the Chaos humans had existed for so many years, and still maintained this coming-of-age ceremony until their demise. So this was the hope for the Chaos humans, to have a transcendent expert. Apart from allowing him to gain a clearer understanding of the myriad laws, and the laws of chaos, Zhou could also sense that his Chaos sacred body was beginning to transform, at an exaggerated speed, with the help of the Chaos God's Race bloodline. His physical body would become stronger, his physical defense would be higher, and his physical body would recover faster. He could see further, hear more clearly, smell more carefully, taste more sensitive, touch more sensitive, and even his intuition had been strengthened by more than one level. As for the regeneration of severed limbs, blood rebirth, and other physical divine powers, they were as simple as a child's play to him. In addition, there were endless mysteries of the physical body, hidden in his holy body, waiting for him to unearth them. Zhou exclaimed in his heart. As expected of one of the advantages of the 2 races, that the Chaos Beast was most proud of. The endless heavens, and the physical body were number 1. It was indeed ridiculously strong. At this moment, he suddenly felt something, and his attention immediately fell on his divine spark space. The divine spark space was his sea of consciousness before he became a god spirit. It was where his soul once rested. After becoming a god spirit, his sea of consciousness became a divine spark space that accommodated both the divine spark and the soul. Originally it was like this. However, at this moment, Zhou actually watched helplessly as a second divine spark slowly condensed in his divine spark space. This divine spark was completely disordered, and emitted the aura of the chaotic laws. It was the chaotic divine vessel. Chaotic divine vessel. Zhou looked at the divine spark and pondered. If the body of the Chaos God's race was said to be the second most prided talent of their race, then, the chaotic divine vessel was the ethnic talent that the Chaos Beast was most proud of. There was no other. Why did the Chaos God's race call themselves the Chaos God's race? It was because the Chaos God's race was born with an illusory chaotic divine vessel. This also meant that as long as they reached the legendary tier advanced grade in the future, and satisfied the promotion energy requirements, they would be able to become a god spirit 100%. They would not even have the bottleneck to become a god spirit. 100% chance of becoming a god. It was the reason why the Chaos God's race was called the God race. Even the original spirit race, the Shepherd's God race, and the Myriad Spirit race did not have such a ridiculously powerful racial advantage. There was also a small number of clansmen who could not become gods in their lives. Even if it was only a small portion, it did exist. As for the Chaos God's race, as long as they did not die midway, they would definitely become gods in the future. As for whether he wanted to comprehend law skills, this was naturally necessary. However, the Chaos God's race was born with a chaotic divine vessel. It was equivalent to having a miniature chaotic law origin in their bodies. The Chaos God's race could understand any nomological path they wanted from the chaos divine spark in their bodies. If his comprehension potential was higher, he could directly understand the chaotic laws. And now I also have this chaotic divine vessel. Zhou sighed. No wonder the chaos humans could defeat the chaos beasts back then. What I have, you don't have, but what you have I can have. What was the point of fighting then? Then, he looked at the information regarding the chaos human bloodline that had just appeared in front of him. You have absorbed one portion of Chaos God's race bloodline, true God tier advanced grade. Your chaos human bloodline has unearthed more potential and advanced to the high tier deity level elementary grade. Your sixth senses powers have been greatly enhanced. Your parapsychic ability has been greatly enhanced. You have awakened a true God tier advanced grade, enhanceable chaos human race talent, chaos God body talent. You have awakened the true God tier advanced grade, enhanceable race talent of the Chaos God's race, chaotic divine vessel. You have awakened the true God tier advanced grade, enhanceable race talent of the Chaos God's race, chaotic divine vessel. You have grasped the Chaos God's race's common sense inheritance. You have grasped the secret inheritance of the Chaos God's race. Congratulations, you have completed the adulthood ceremony of the chaotic human race. The will of chaos, which has fallen for countless years, has sensed your existence and sent you an ancient guidance. You have comprehended the incomplete will condensation technique, will divine transformation realm. After reading this information, Zhou raised his eyebrows slightly. Good God! Just the bloodline of a true God tier advanced grade chaos god had actually raised his chaos human race bloodline by a large level, from a mid-tier deity level elementary grade to a high-tier deity level elementary grade. Back then, the bloodline of the first demon Deep Abyss, who was an advanced grade master god tier, had only raised his chaos human bloodline from low-tier deity level elementary grade to a level infinitely close to the mid-tier deity level elementary grade. He had not even broken through to the mid-tier deity level. And now, the Chaos God's race bloodline had actually provided he with so much bloodline power. It far exceeded the bloodline enhancement that the Master God tier advanced grade bloodline had brought him. The Chaos Beast bloodline is indeed extremely compatible with my Chaos human bloodline, Zhou thought. Then, he looked at the other awakened innate abilities. Race talent name, Chaotic God body, talent level, True God tier advanced grade, enhanceable, talent description. After the Chaos humans complete their coming-of-age ceremony, his body will become indestructible, especially after advancing to the God Spirit realm. At the same level, he will even be comparable to a defensive divine artifact of the same level. Your chaotic divine body can make it easier for you to understand thousands of principles, or even more profound laws of the chaos. The chaotic human race with the chaotic divine body is easier to become a God Spirit among the countless races and life forms. Chapter 981 Chaotic Divine Vessel. Chaos Will Condensation Technique. Race Talent Name, Chaotic Divine Vessel. Talent Level, True God Tier Advanced Grade Enhanceable, Talent Description. Ever since you were born, your body has been nurtured with the chaotic divine spark. With the chaotic divine vessel, one could begin to comprehend and use the power of various nomological laws from the weakest point. Moreover, when one becomes a God Spirit, one could also rely on the chaotic divine vessel to 100% become a God Spirit without the risk of failure. Your talent in the law of chaos has increased greatly. Race talent name, Kuan Peng True Body. Talent level, True God Tier Advanced Grade, Enhanceable. Talent description. You can turn into the Chaos God's race, Kuan Peng, through your bloodline atavism. From there, you will have all the bloodline talents of the Kuan Peng True God Tier, as well as the law skills that he has mastered. Zhou nodded slightly when he saw the last Kuan Peng True Body. Even though this Chaos God's race bloodline had only awakened 3 innate abilities for him, just this last Kunpeng true body was equivalent to having countless abilities. As for the chaotic divine body and chaotic divine vessel, they were innate abilities with unlimited potential. Just these 3 abilities alone are enough to absorb the Chaos God's race bloodline. Zhou sighed. Then, it was naturally the Chaos God's race's common sense inheritance, and the Chaos God's race's secret inheritance. He had only glanced through the inheritance of the Chaos God's race. However, after a cursory glance, he really discovered an extremely important piece of legacy information. In the Supreme Mystic Realm, the ruins of chaos, there's a small group of chaos humans who are believed to be alive. Zhou frowned. Zhou naturally knew that he was not the only one left of the chaos humans. However, he had never known where the remaining chaos humans were. This was not documented in his chaos human bloodline inheritance. Originally, he thought that he would have to slowly search in the future to find his fellow chaos humans. He did not expect to find the whereabouts of the chaos human race from the Chaos God's race's bloodline inheritance. Even if it was only a suspicion, it was still hope. The one who knows himself best is still the enemy. Zhou thought. He had to pay attention to where this chaotic ruins was in the future. However, since it was a supreme mystic realm, there was a high chance that it was not in a specific universe, but in the chaotic void outside the universe. The chaotic void was endless and had been expanding infinitely. Even Supreme God Realm experts did not know where the end of the chaotic void was, let alone find a lonely Supreme Mystic Realm. Zhou felt that it would be very difficult to find it alone. Fortunately, he still had the Bodhi Supreme as a secondary plan, so he was not too worried. Then, his gaze landed on the final inheritance of the Chaos God's race. The Chaos Will Condensation Technique, and it's a Chaos Will Condensation Technique that leads straight to the Will Divine Transformation Realm. Zhou didn't have much of an expression on his face. In that case, I have 2 Will Condensation Techniques at the Will Divine Transformation Realm. One belongs to the Abyss Will, and the other belongs to the Chaos Will. Dual cultivation, or just focusing on one of them? Zhou's expression gradually turned serious. This was no small matter. It was a matter that concerned his future. He could not be careless. He thought for a moment and first searched through the different bloodline inheritances in his mind. He realized that there were no inheritances related to willpower cultivation. He didn't even mention it. He thought for a moment and first searched through the different bloodline inheritances in his mind. He realized that there were no inheritances related to willpower cultivation. He didn't even mention it. Yes, willpower was already an ability that only Master God tier could master, and Will Divine Transformation Realm was an ability that only Supreme God Realm experts could begin to master. This kind of high-end ability, let alone ordinary top races. Even the top civilizations like the original Spirit race, the Chaos God's race, and the Shepherd's God race probably had very few legacies in this aspect. Zhou pondered for a few seconds, and decisively took out the Bodhi Supreme to ask the answer to this question. This question requires an ordinary question to be answered once. Bodhi Supreme said lazily, "It's only the number of times you can answer ordinary questions." Zhou was a little surprised. He thought that such questions that involved one's will needed to be answered at least once by an official question. Bodhi Supreme seemed to have noticed Zhou's confusion and explained, "Because the answer I give can't really help you much. Be it the Chaos Will or the Abyss Will, before you reach the level of will, you can actually cultivate them alone or at the same time. Both have their own benefits. Single cultivation advances quickly, but the upper limit is not high. If you cultivate it at the same time, it's easy for different wills to conflict with each other. Once it's an actual conflict crisis, it's very likely that you won't be able to stop the crisis from erupting, and you'll be in danger of dying. My suggestion is, cultivate the Chaos Will first. At the same time, collect the will inheritances of other wills. My suggestion is, cultivate the Chaos Will alone first. At the same time, collect the will inheritances of other wills. Moreover, you have the foundation of the Chaos Will, and it has already died for numerous years. In the future, even if you can't condense your own exclusive will, you might be able to take the position of the chaos will back then and inherit its former glory. That won't be inferior to a will like the abyss will. In fact, it might even reach the heights of the supreme will and the crimson overlord in the future. Condense my will. Zhou was deep in thought. Don't think about it. You're just a super junior in the will-like light realm. Why are you thinking so far ahead? Bodhi Supreme saw that he was thinking very seriously and immediately said with disdain, "You're right." Zhou scratched his head. He was indeed biting off more than he could chew. However, he had potential comprehension ability and a certain amount of willpower experience. In the future, he might really be able to reach the heights of an existence like the supreme will. Therefore, he still had to be careful on the path of condensing his exclusive willpower in the future. Bodhi Supreme could tell at a glance that Zhou was biting off more than he could chew. However, he did not say anything else. To be able to develop to this extent, Zhou must be an ambitious person. It was too normal for him to have plans for the future. Then he'll listen to you. He'll first switch to the chaos will, and then cultivate the chaos will alone. At the same time, he'll pay attention to collecting the will inheritances of other wills. Zhou quickly made a decision. Then, he chatted with Bodhi Supreme about some questions regarding willpower. Only when he had nothing else to ask did he put away Bodhi Supreme. Then, he chatted with Bodhi Supreme about some questions regarding willpower. Only when he had nothing else to ask did he put away Bodhi Supreme. It was the Wind God Source embryo that he had obtained from the new Wind Demon Kingdom. This Wind God Source embryo contained a sleeping true God tier dragon soul. After Zhou obtained it, he had been feeding it divine crystals, hoping that it would hatch one day. At that moment, Zhou's eyes lit up as he looked at the cracks on the surface of the Wind God Source embryo that were emitting azure and silver-white light. Was it about to hatch? Chapter 982 Letter of Surrender. Zhou looked at the Wind God Source embryo in front of him. He could sense that the true God tier dragon soul in the Wind God Source embryo had already awakened. It was eager to try and break through the outer shell of the origin crystal. He could sense that the true God tier dragon soul in the Wind God Source embryo had already awakened. It was eager to try and break through the outer shell of the origin crystal. Zhou clicked his tongue in wonder. Following that, he sent a portion of his will to Zhou, allowing him to follow Bai Yin and the others out to battle. He also took out a true God tier elementary grade divine crystals and began feeding the Wind God Source embryo. True God tier divine crystals were very beneficial to the dragon soul in the Wind God Source embryo. Not only could it greatly increase the speed at which the other party broke out of its shell, but it could also increase the other party's strength when it was born. If I feed it enough true God tier divine crystals, perhaps I can make this dragon god dragon soul, which is already at the true God tier, reach the true God realm at birth. As he watched the Wind God Source embryo absorb the true God tier divine crystals, a smile appeared on his face. Taking advantage of this free time, Zhou took out the Law Skill Book, 9 Heavens Technique, and chose to use it. After mastering the Chaos God's Race's number 1 Flying Nomological Secret Technique, Zhou took out the Mineral Land Deed, the miniature spatial elemental gem mine. He chose to use it and placed it on a desolate land not far from the Blazing Sun Kingdom. Then, he told Zheng Yuanqi the location of the mineral mine and asked he to send someone to mine it. Then, when he looked at the Wind God Source embryo again, he realized that the true God tier elementary grade divine crystals that he had given him previously had been completely absorbed by the egg. Zhou was stunned for a moment before he laughed out loud. Okay. The absorption is getting better and better. Zhou laughed out loud. The faster it was absorbed, the higher the life potential in the Wind God Source embryo, and the stronger it was when it was born. How could Zhou not be happy about such a good thing? He generously took out another true God elementary grade divine crystal and placed it on the surface of the Wind God Source embryo. He allowed the other party to attach the divine crystal to the surface of the eggshell and crazily absorb the true God tier energy inside. Perhaps this little fellow will be a pet that's not inferior to Nazario when it's born. Zhou looked at the wind god source embryo with hope. At the same time, 10 of millions of kilometers away from the blazing sun capital, within the spatial mezzanine, a total of 100 galaxy ships were flying at full speed. Galaxy number 1. In the captain's room, Zhou 1, or rather Zhou 1, who was possessed by Zhou's will, was currently looking at the map projection in front of him. This map projection covered a terrifying area of 1 trillion square kilometers. It even included a portion of the territory of a Divine Kingdom Lord faction, called the Profound Arkansas. The map that involved such a large area was actually not drawn by the Heavenly Map Army, led by Wu Tuesday currently. Wu Tu and the others did plan to draw a map of the entire high continent. However, this grand plan had just begun. Even with the map cheat, the Time World, Wu Tu and the others had only completed less than 1 in 10 million maps of the entire continent. It was obvious that this was a big plan with a long way to go. As for the map projection in front of him, it came from a map that the mysterious merchant had accidentally obtained through his treasure hunting ability during a business trip. Zhou was very happy when he received the map. With this map, it would be much more convenient for them to do war strategies in the high continent in the future. Like now, for example, there were a total of 216 red light spots, distributed unevenly on the huge map. These red light spots were the hunting targets that Zhou had found through the Eye of the Heaven's anger. If it was the previous map, it would definitely not be possible. What to do? The range of coverage was not big enough. Your Majesty, we are 1 minute and 12 seconds away from our first target, the Skull Crusher Demon God. In addition, the current location of the Skull Crusher Demon God is an intermediate grade Crimson Kingdom, and it's not far from our territory. Should we attack while we're at it? Bai Yin came to Zhou and reported. Zhou thought for a moment and said, we can take it down and then take down the 2 intermediate grade Crimson Kingdoms around the Blazing Sun Kingdom's territory to fulfill the requirements for the kingdom to advance to an advanced kingdom. After doing this, it'll hunt down the targets of the Eye of the Heaven's anger one by one. After killing 20 targets of the Eye of the Heaven's anger, it'll conquer those kingdom factions that have sent letters of surrender. By the way, how's the persuasion letter going? Zhou asked again. This morning, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has already sent a letter of surrender to the 161 kingdom-level factions of the people of foreign races, who had previously stopped the humans from retreating to the primordial world. There are also 32 kingdom-level lord factions of the people of foreign races, who are subordinate to other empire-level factions. We did not send a letter of surrender either. In the end, there are 11 empire-level lord factions of the people of foreign races. They also participated in the operation to stop the humans from retreating to the primordial world. But we listened to your Majesty's orders and did not send a letter of surrender to them. Zhou acknowledged. Your Majesty. Bai Yin hesitated for a moment and said, these people of foreign races know that we are powerful. If we directly issue a surrender letter like this, will it cause those people of foreign races to ally? If it's just the kingdom-level people of foreign races forming an alliance, we're naturally not afraid. However, I'm afraid that these kingdom-level people of foreign races will know that even if they ally, they won't be able to defeat our Blazing Sun Kingdom. Then, they will choose to ally with those empire-level lords. What should we do? With the Supreme Agreement, they won't be able to form an alliance. If they want to form an alliance, so be it. I'd like to see if they dare to take the initiative to attack us without us provoking them. Zhou smiled. His tone was filled with anticipation. Divine Kingdom Lord factions and Empire-level Lord factions could not attack the Kingdom-level Lord factions of the myriad races. Unless this Kingdom-level Lord faction took the initiative to provoke the Empire-level Lord faction and the Divine Kingdom Lord faction, these 2 higher-level Lord factions could battle back freely. I understand. Bai Yin nodded. At the same time, as the Blazing Sun Kingdom's letter of surrender was sent to the 161 people of foreign races, these 161 people of foreign races were also astonished and furious. They had naturally witnessed the strength of the Blazing Sun Kingdom when they were stopping the humans from retreating to the primordial world. Their feelings could be described in one sentence. They could not fight them head-on. More than 100 Kingdom-level Lord factions and 11 Kingdom-level Lord factions joined forces to launch an attack on the Blazing Sun Kingdom. In the end, not only did they fail to break through the enemy's blockade, but they also lost more than 100 billion soldiers and nearly 100 deities, causing the vitality of nearly 200 people of foreign races to be greatly damaged. To be honest, they were dumbfounded when they heard about the specific battle losses. Was this something that an intermediate kingdom lord could do? Those who did not know better would ponder that they were fighting against an extraordinary empire-level lord faction together. What was an extraordinary empire-level lord faction? It referred to those empire factions that had already reached the level of an almost divine kingdom lord on the surface, but were unable to advance to the divine kingdom lord level for various reasons. This was what they felt when they faced the attacks of the Blazing Sun Kingdom. This was timely. The operation to stop the humans from retreating to the primordial world did not succeed. What should they do now that they were about to be assaulted by the other party? Chapter 983 Advancement to an Advanced Kingdom. The Ghost Darkness Kingdom was an advanced kingdom lord faction created by a low-tier deity-level intermediate grade god spirit of the Een Ghosts clan. They were born with the body of ghost spirits and were good at the Tao of Souls. Most of their attacks were impossible to guard against, so they were also feared by the surrounding countries. At this moment, in the palace hall of the king of the Een Ghosts clan, a group of ministers were listening to a king's personal attendant in front of the hall. Their expressions were gloomy and uncertain. After the king's attendant finished speaking, a minister immediately stood up and said angrily, "This Blazing Sun Kingdom is actually so arrogant. Previously, they brought people to stop us from attacking the human race and destroyed our operations. We can forget about that. But now they even dare to send us a letter of surrender? Don't they know that our Een Ghost clan has a Een Ghost empire? Exactly, this king of the Blazing Sun is simply courting death." The other ministers also cursed indignantly. At this moment, another minister of the Ghost Darkness Kingdom said faintly, "We don't have much to do with the Een Ghost Kingdom, even though our Ghost Darkness Kingdom is indeed from the Een Ghost race. We even have some conflicts. The other party might also know this, which is why they dare to send us a surrender letter." The ministers fell silent as soon as he said this. Even though their Ghost Darkness Kingdom and the Dark Ghost Kingdom were both from the Ghost Een clan, their races were different. However, as the saying went, even a family would have conflicts, let alone an internal race. Coincidentally, they did have a conflict with the Een Ghost Empire. That was because the Een Ghost Empire had always wanted to annex the Ghost Darkness Kingdom, but the Ghost Darkness Kingdom was unwilling. After several open and covert battles, although there was no war between the two sides, due to the persuasion of the clan, their relationship had actually fallen to a freezing point. Even though both sides had participated in the previous attack on the human race, they had never cooperated. They had completely done their own things. Now that the enemy had already attacked, how could the Ghost Darkness Kingdom have the face to ask the Een Ghost Empire for help? Moreover, it was already too late to ask for help. Due to the Supreme Agreement, even if the Ghost Darkness Kingdom was destroyed by the Blazing Sun Kingdom, the Een Ghost Empire would not be able to help the Ghost Darkness Kingdom. Unless the two countries had an alliance agreement or a subordinate agreement to protect each other, before the Blazing Sun Kingdom issued the surrender letter, the Een Ghost Empire could do nothing else in the face of the current situation of the Ghost Darkness Kingdom. At this moment, the king of the Ghost Darkness Kingdom, Drake, who was sitting on the throne in the hall, spoke. "After knowing the contents of this letter of surrender, I immediately sent Ares to investigate the situation of the other people of foreign races who attacked the human race together. In the end, we discovered that more than half of the people of foreign races who attacked the human race with us had already been persuaded to surrender by the common people's regal of the Blazing Sun Kingdom. Furthermore, the content had not been changed at all. Most importantly, Common People's Regal seems to know that the Empire-level Lord faction and the Kingdom-level Lord faction that is related to the Empire-level Lord faction are not to be trifled with. Therefore, they did not send a surrender letter to them. They only sent this letter to the Kingdom-level Lord factions, like us, who do not have the protection of the Empire-level Lord faction. The Common People's Regal wasn't blinded by his power. He is still the extremely cautious but expansive Common People's Regal. In the face of such a powerful but cautious opponent, ministers, do you have any good suggestions? Towards the end, he looked at the adults with a hopeful look in his eyes. He was just an ordinary low-tier deity-level intermediate-grade god spirit. Even though they had some connections with god spirits, they were only an ordinary faction that could be easily destroyed by the current Blazing Sun Kingdom. Therefore, in the face of such a helpless situation, he could only pin his hopes on these ministers to think of a good solution for him. At this moment, when His Highness ministers heard His Majesty's words, their expressions immediately became hesitant. Isn't this bullying the ghosts? A minister of the Ghost Darkness Kingdom couldn't help but mutter after hearing Drake's words. The minister said nothing. Aren't they bullying you? Who asked you to be weak and have no protector? Let's ask for help. Well, form an alliance with the other kingdoms that have been issued with letters of surrender. In addition, we'll join forces with some people of foreign races and some small factions around the Blazing Sun Kingdom to form a large alliance that will prevent the Blazing Sun Kingdom from acting rashly. Those people of foreign races and small factions' territories are located around the Blazing Sun Kingdom's territories. In the future, as long as the Blazing Sun Kingdom expands, it will definitely destroy their territories. If we say that it's pros and cons, they will definitely not be indifferent. A minister in charge of logistics in the Ghost Darkness Kingdom hesitated for a moment before speaking. Anyone can think of that. As soon as he said this, another minister wearing a general's uniform shook his head and said, "The problem is that the Blazing Sun Kingdom is too powerful. Even if we unite all the forces we can we really stop the Blazing Sun Kingdom's attack?" The ministers were silent. He was right. Back then, even with the help of a large group of Empire-level lords, they could not break through the army of the Blazing Sun Kingdom and stop the humans from retreating to the primordial world. Now, even if a group of kingdom-level lords joined forces, what could they do to the Blazing Sun Kingdom? When they thought of this, they felt a little suffocated. It was just an intermediate kingdom. How could it be so strong? The Blazing Sun Kingdom's forces are not something we can deal with. Why don't we surrender? At least we can reduce the casualties of our Ghost Darkness Kingdom. As long as the citizens of the Ing Ghost are still around, there will be hope for everything in the future. Furthermore, I heard that the Common People's Regal has the heart to tolerate all races. The Blazing Sun Kingdom under him also treats those who surrender very well. In fact, it's not inferior to his own countrymen. If we surrender, the treatment we receive from him won't be much worse than now. It might even be better. Another minister of the Ghost Darkness Kingdom, who was in charge of the official's position, suddenly stood up after a long while. He gritted his teeth and mustered his courage. Originally, after he said this, he would receive a lot of criticism. However, after he finished speaking, he realized that the entire hall had fallen silent. Most of the ministers, including King Drake, were tempted. Only a few of them looked hesitant. The official was stunned for a moment before his expression became strange. Just as the Ghost Darkness Kingdom was hesitating because of the letter of surrender, the other kingdoms that had been issued with the letter of surrender were experiencing the same thing and had begun to save themselves. Some seek alliances outside. Some spent all the country's wealth to hire foreign god spirit-level experts to protect the kingdom. Some sought help from Empire-level forces. Some simply admitted that they were no match for him and directly agreed to the Blazing Sun Kingdom's letter of surrender, choosing to join the Blazing Sun Kingdom. There were even some people of foreign races who chose to side with the Scarlet faction and seek their protection. The various methods were too much for the eyes to take in. As for the Empire-level Lord factions and Kingdom-level Lord factions that were related to the Empire-level Lord factions, They were both glad and apprehensive after learning of this situation. Fortunately, the common people's regal didn't choose to attack them. Even though they were an empire-level lord faction, some of them even had some top-notch true god tier means. They were not something that the current Zhou could easily deal with. However, once such a method was used, they would have to pay a huge price. Some of the costs might even directly cause their empire's vitality to be greatly damaged, or even in danger of destruction. That was why they did not want to use their trump card easily until the last moment. What they were worried about was that common people's regal was growing too quickly. If he continued to grow like this, it would probably be the's turn soon in the current situation. What should they do then? We have to think of a way to deal with the common people's regal. At the very least, we have to scare the common people's regal, so that they won't dare to attack us. Otherwise, we definitely won't be safe in the future. When the empire-level lords thought of this, they immediately began to think of a way. At this moment, a piece of news suddenly came from the Blazing Sun Kingdom, and quickly reached them. The Blazing Sun Kingdom had advanced to an advanced kingdom. Time went back to more than an hour ago. In the Divine Kingdom's main hall, Zhou, who was feeding the Wind God Source embryo with true God tier elementary grade divine crystals, suddenly saw spatial fluctuations appear in the space in front of him. Following that, a black spatial ring flew out and floated in front of Zhou. Zhou was already prepared. He held it in his hand and sent his divine sense into it. Then he smiled. Inside were 3 epic tier advanced grade kingdom tokens that emitted a faint scarlet fog aura. I can finally upgrade my kingdom. Zhou stood up and casually threw 3 divine god tier basic level sacred crystals at the Wind God Source embryo's surface. After saying, "Eat slowly," he teleported away. The next second, he appeared in front of the golden tablet in the deepest part of the divine kingdom. He looked at the kingdom's golden tablet in front of him. Soon a text notification appeared. Prompt: you have met all the requirements to advance to an advanced kingdom. Do you want to advance the Blazing Sun Kingdom to an advanced kingdom? Yes, Zhou said without hesitation. As soon as he finished speaking, another line of text appeared. Prompt: you have 1 chance to change the location of the king's city. Do you want to change/retain it? Retain. Naturally, Zhou would not easily change his position in the capital. The current Searing Flame Empire was the only high-tier deity-level territory in the entire Blazing Sun Kingdom, and even the entire human territory. Zhou would be a fool to exchange for such a treasure land. Prompt: your choice has been confirmed. Prompt: your lord's territory, Intermediate Kingdom, Blazing Sun Kingdom is in the process of upgrading. Prompt: level up successful. Congratulations, your Intermediate Kingdom Lord territory, Blazing Sun Kingdom, has officially been promoted to Advanced Kingdom Lord territory, Blazing Sun Kingdom. Prompt: you can display the level of your kingdom and territory on any channel. The next second, the announcement that Zhou had been waiting for appeared. Lord of all races Lord announcement. Congratulations to the human race, the sovereign of the Searing Flame, for successfully establishing the first advanced kingdom. Rewards: Lord of all races mythical tier treasure chest +1, mid-level kingdom empire treasure chest +1, status ranking +10, legendary status ranking +1. Lord of all races announcement. Congratulations to the human race, Lord of the Blazing Sun. Lord of all races announcement. Congratulations to the human race, Lord of the Blazing Sun. Chapter 984 Forbidden Archmage Statue. Race Divine Artifact. Incomplete Spear of Longinus. Indeed, the first Lord to advance to the Lord's territory of the Advanced Kingdom will also trigger a full channel announcement of the Lord of all races like before. Zhou nodded in satisfaction. At the same time he began to think. He now had a huge advantage in the level of the Lord's territory. He had to maintain this advantage in the future, and fight for the rewards of this announcement to belong to him in the future. 1 step faster, and every step would be faster. Zhou had already experienced the huge benefits, so he naturally wouldn't give such benefits to other races. Then, He first looked at the mythical tier treasure chest, opened it, and saw a miniature statue quietly placed inside. This miniature statue was a humanoid statue. He was a handsome male human who looked like a young man. He wore a four-colored elemental robe and held a four-colored book in his hand. His dark golden eyes seemed to contain the magical wisdom of all things in the world. Even though he was only a statue, he was still emitting intense magical fluctuations. Zhou looked at it, and a text notification appeared. Building name: Forbidden Archmage Sculpture. Construction level: True God Tier Elementary Grade. Construction: Change to Forbidden Mage. Spend 100 Black Iron Tier / Green Bronze Tier / White Silver Tier. Legendary Tier Mist Core. You can receive the teachings of the Forbidden Archmage Su Yuan. Profession change of a Human Kingdom level spellcaster to an Empire level spellcaster, Forbidden Mage. Building description: Peace, only within the range of Forbidden Spell, Forbidden Archmage, Su Yuan. Do you want to place it? A statue that can be changed to an Empire level spellcasting profession? Zhou's eyes lit up when he saw the statue's information. This treasure came at the right time. The tens of billions of violent storm spirits under him were all kingdom-level spellcasting professions. In other words, they could use this Forbidden Archmage statue to change their profession to an Empire-level spellcasting profession, Forbidden Mage. As for the mist core that he had spent on his class advancement, it was nothing to Zhou, who had obtained hundreds of millions of legendary tier mist cores in one war. He was still worried that he had nowhere to spend so many mist cores. As for this Forbidden Archmage Su Yuan, he seemed to be a human too. However, after some thought, Zhou realized that he had never heard of this person's name. Could it be that the other party was not a higher-up of the human race, but a lone expert of the human race, or a true god tier of the human race in the myriad worlds? Zhou stroked his chin and thought. However, he quickly stopped thinking about it because it didn't matter who Su Yuan was. It was fine as long as this statue could change classes normally, as long as this forbidden mage is indeed powerful. I'll use one night to change all my violent storm spirits to forbidden mages, Zhou thought. Then, he came to a wide open space beside the shelter of the goddess of life. He took out the Forbidden Archmage statue and silently placed it there. The next second, the statue of the Forbidden Archmage left his right hand and flew into the air. Then, it began to rapidly enlarge, and in the blink of an eye, it became a huge statue about 100,000 meters tall. Such a huge statue was rare, even in the entire Blazing Sun Kingdom. Hence, the moment it appeared, it attracted the attention of many subjects. Could there have been an accident? Some subjects could not help but think. Thanks to the war education of the Blazing Sun Kingdom, even though there had never been an internal war in the entire Blazing Sun Kingdom, the subjects' vigilance did not decrease at all. However, when these subjects saw Zhou standing in front of the Forbidden Archmage statue, they immediately felt relieved. So it was the Lord's work. That was not strange. The subjects did not dare to get too close to disturb their lord. They all watched from afar in an extremely cultured manner, afraid that they would affect Zhou's thoughts. At the same time, Zhou also clicked his tongue in wonder as he looked at this huge and majestic class advancement statue. As expected of a treasure left behind by a true god tier. Just in terms of size, it was enough to crush the kingdom-level profession change statues that he had seen in human territory. Then, he called over a patrolling guard and asked him to call over a legendary tier violent storm spirit and a black iron tier violent storm spirit from the Homeland Defense Legion. Soon the two of them came over. "Greetings, Your Majesty." When the two of them arrived, they immediately greeted Zhou respectfully. The two of them were a man and a woman. Thanks to their lord talent, their own aptitude, and the enhancement of the kingdom's profession, one of them was handsome, and the other was beautiful. They were both extraordinary. Of course, in front of Zhou, the king who had transcended the heavens, he was naturally incomparable. I'll be frank. There's an opportunity here that can allow you to upgrade your kingdom-level spellcasting profession, the Violent Storm Spirit, to an Empire-level spellcasting profession, Forbidden Mage. Are you willing? Zhou asked with a smile. The two of them were stunned. Then they immediately said excitedly, "Yes, I'm willing." Kingdom-level spellcasting professions and empire-level spellcasting professions not only represented the difference in combat strength, but also the difference in potential. If becoming a kingdom-level combat professional had a chance of advancing to legendary expert in the future, then becoming an empire-level combat professional would have a chance of advancing to God Spirit in the future. Even a low-tier deity-level elementary-grade God Spirit was a level that countless humans dreamed of, but could never attain. Only a fool would refuse. Sure. Zhou nodded when he heard that. Then, he pointed at the towering forbidden archmage statue and said solemnly, "Go in front of that forbidden archmage. You have to be truly respectful from inside out. Then, tell me your requirements for advancing to a forbidden archmage. As for the cost of the job change, I will pay for it." "Yes, Your Majesty." The two of them suppressed their excitement and said respectfully. Then, they quickly arrived in front of the statue of the forbidden archmage, Su Yuan. They looked at this towering and incomparably dignified statue with enthused expressions. How could they not be excited when the opportunity to soar to the heavens was right in front of them? Don't be anxious. Let your heart calm down first before carrying out the forbidden mage class advancement ritual. Zhou's voice sounded. From a kingdom-level spellcasting profession to an empire-level spellcasting profession, the process was not something that could be completed just by thinking about. I want to change my profession to a forbidden mage. Profession memory inheritance, constitution modification, willpower tempering, and other things were all indispensable torture processes. Once these two people's mental states were unstable, and they could not survive these processes, they would not be able to successfully receive the complete inheritance of the forbidden mage. That would mean that they had failed their job advancement. Zhou did not want to see that scene. "Yes, Your Majesty." The two of them were shocked, and immediately forced themselves to calm down. After they were ready, they began to tell the statue of the forbidden archmage about their request to change their profession to a forbidden mage. 10 seconds later, the forbidden codex in the hand of the forbidden archmage statue suddenly emitted a four-colored light. Then, the four-colored light transformed into two four-colored pillars of light that descended from the sky and enveloped the two of them, completely enveloping them in the pillar of light. The transfer of inheritance has begun. Zhou pondered to himself when he witnessed this scene. He did not leave, but he did not wait either. Instead, while the two of them were receiving the profession inheritance, he took out the advanced kingdom treasure chest that was rewarded by the announcement and chose to open it directly. A broken blood-red steel fork was lying quietly in the advanced kingdom treasure chest. This steel fork should originally have had 3 parts. Now only the front section of the steel fork was left, which was the most lethal part of the fork. Zhou was stunned when he witnessed the blood-red steel fork, because it was actually another racial divine artifact. So these kingdom treasure chests are all rewards of race divine artifacts? Zhou thought. The intermediate kingdom treasure chest he had obtained previously was the Holy Record, a divine artifact of the human race on Cerulean planet. It was still in effect in the divine kingdom. The beginner treasure chest he had obtained from the newly established kingdom was the sword of Xian Yuan, the Sun Moon Star Sword. Zhou had reason to suspect that in the future, the kingdom treasure chest would also reward divine artifacts from other races. If that was the case, it could be considered a channel that could steadily harvest race divine artifacts. At present, the premise was that he could always maintain the lead. He didn't guess for long as his gaze landed on the blood-red steel fork again. A divine artifact notification appeared. Race divine artifact name: Incomplete Spear of Longinus. Equipment grade: Unique in the race. Race divine artifact ability 1, Infinite Piercing Spear. The Spear of Longinus can pierce through any matter in life without any damage. Race divine artifact ability 2, God-Slaying Bloodstained Spear. Unknown. To activate this race's divine artifact ability, you need to collect and integrate the middle-end steel fork of the Spear of Longinus. Race divine artifact ability 3, Spear of Longinus. Unknown. To activate this race's divine artifact ability, You need to collect and integrate the steel fork at the end of the Spear of Longinus. Introduction to Race Divine Artifact. Spear of Longinus, the divine artifact of the human race on Cerulean planet. It is also the god-slaying spear of a mortal. Even a high and mighty god spirit can be stabbed, or even assassinated by a mortal with the Spear of Longinus. It's another incomplete race divine artifact like the Sword of Xian Yuan. I need to collect all of them, in order to fully unleash the effect of he. Zhou shook his head. His Sword of Xian Yuan had yet to be gathered. He did not expect an incomplete race divine artifact to appear in the blink of an eye. Where could he find it? Could it be that he had to use the Bodhi Supreme when he encountered a problem? In that case, no matter how many times the Bodhi Supreme was used, it would not be enough. Zhou pondered for a moment, and decided not to use the Bodhi Supreme to search for the other two parts of the Spear of Longinus for the time being. He was not lacking in a race divine artifact now. He just had to take it slow. As long as it was not damaged or permanently lost, he would find it sooner or later as his strength gradually increased. He gazed at this racial divine artifact. This Spear of Longinus was very different from the Sword of Xian Yuan. The Sword of Xian Yuan was currently a pure racial divine artifact that assisted the growth of territories and subjects. As for the Spear of Longinus, judging from the effects of the divine artifacts of he and the other races, it seemed to be a special attack-type divine artifact. The first effect is Infinite Piercing Spear. Perhaps it will come in handy in the future? Zhou was a little uncertain. Then, he temporarily placed it in his king's treasure box, and would take it out to use in the future when he had the chance. Chapter 985 Excited Lords of the Cerulean Planet. Zhou looked at the remaining rewards. In addition to the mythical treasure chest and the Advanced Kingdom treasure chest, there were also 10 reputation rating and 1 mythical reputation rating rewards for the Lord of all races. To the current Zhou, the reputation rating reward was naturally nothing. On the other hand, Zhou was looking forward to the mythical reputation rating reward. Guoqiao, Qi Xiantian, or the Yuan Song of the Shepherd God race, as talents of the mythical reputation rating, had all become the top powerhouses in his territory. They were the pillars of his territory, and had made great contributions to the development of his territory. His strength had never fallen behind even with the rapid development of his territory. Zhou was looking forward to it. What kind of talent would his next mythical reputation rating talent be? What kind of abilities would he have? Next was Zhou's favorite part. He opened the Cerulean Planet's Human World channel. The lords of the Cerulean Planet were all congratulating Zhou on his promotion to an advanced kingdom. Long live His Majesty! Screaming at the top of his lungs. Awesome! His Majesty is indeed the face of the human race on the Cerulean Planet. He's once again ahead of the lords of all races. What do you mean by the face of the human race on the Cerulean Planet? It's the face of the human race in the myriad worlds. That's right. Most of the humans have already retreated to the primordial world, and are guarding the powerful branch of the human race in the High Continent. Only His Majesty is left. What does this mean? This means that His Majesty is already the de facto master of the human race in the High Continent. Ha ha ha. The lords of all races and the civilization behind them have always been afraid of His Majesty. Now that His Majesty has been promoted to an advanced kingdom, I wonder what their expressions will be when they find out about this. Even though it's indeed the time to be happy, I'm actually even more worried now. I don't know how rich the foundation of those civilizations is. Now that they know that His Majesty has become the master of the advanced kingdom, they will definitely be even more determined to destroy His Majesty. I don't know what methods they will use in the future. Your Majesty, you have to be careful. According to His Majesty's previous words, as long as we are in the highest continent, we will be safe. Before leaving the High Continent, we don't have to worry about these things for the time being. As for after leaving the High Continent, His Majesty will definitely think of a new solution at that time. I thought that His Majesty was already considered invincible among the lords of all races, and should be able to play with the Lord of all races at will. I didn't expect that he would still be restricted by the civilization behind the lords of all races. Haven't we already discussed this? In the early stages of the Lord of all races competition, the lords of all races will still stand on the same level. However, in the middle and later stages of the Lord of all races competition, there will definitely be a contest between the races of all races. This is inevitable. If the weak races wanted to prevent their race from falling into a disadvantage in the middle and late stages, they could only develop well in the early stages. Otherwise, they could unite with other weak races and fight against those civilizations. His Majesty had already done his best. Zhou looked at the lords of all races who spoke and smiled. These lords of the cerulean planet finally had some intentions of returning to their hometowns. This way, when he integrates all the lords of cerulean planet in the future, he shouldn't encounter too many obstacles. As for their worries about the future, Zhou was actually not very worried. It was nothing more than how to face the situation after leaving the High Continent. The methods of the gods were more or less unusable in the High Continent after all. However, after leaving the High Continent, the gods could use whatever methods they wanted without breaking the Supreme Agreement. At that time, the cruelty of the war might directly increase by 10 times, or even 100 times, 1,000 times, or even 10,000 times. However, Zhou was not too worried. This was because he already had a rough idea of how to safely lead his troops out of the High Continent in the future and head to the myriad worlds to fight a war. At that time, with my own methods, I should be able to develop steadily for a period of time in the War of 10,000 Worlds. Then, he casually threw 10 billion copies of Violent Storm Spirit Class Change Certificate and 10 billion Yellow Gold Tier God Attendant Class Attendant Certificate to the marketplace, causing the Lord of the Cerulean Planet to be excited. Then he gazed at the text notification. Advanced Kingdom Hint 1. After your kingdom is upgraded to an advanced kingdom, your reputation will spread throughout a wider area. More life forms will gradually know of your kingdom's existence. Please be prepared to handle the subsequent kingdom affairs. Advanced Kingdom Hint 2. Your kingdom channel has officially advanced to the Advanced Kingdom channel. It can accommodate up to 20 billion subjects. Advanced Kingdom Hint 3. Your affiliated kingdom function has been strengthened. You can recruit up to 50 beginner kingdom lords and 10 intermediate kingdoms to become your affiliated kingdom. Affiliated kingdoms are not allowed to attack the main kingdom. They have to accept the orders of the main kingdom and advance and retreat with the main kingdom. The main kingdom has to support the progression of the subsidiary kingdom within its capabilities and protect the affiliated kingdom from external enemies. There is a parent-child spatial teleportation array between the main kingdom and the affiliated kingdom. It can be used for free regardless of distance. The main kingdom has the right to unilaterally close the parent-child spatial teleportation array. Zhou could not help but smack his lips after reading this information. It was still not enough for him, even though this leveling up was not bad. The upper limit of 20 billion subjects wasn't enough to satisfy the needs of him, a super kingdom with more than 30 billion subjects. From the original upper limit of 10 beginner kingdoms, the affiliated kingdoms had increased to the upper limit of 50 beginner kingdoms and 10 intermediate kingdoms. This was not bad. At this moment, he suddenly realized that many applications had suddenly appeared in the information column of his affiliated kingdom. They were all applications to join his affiliated kingdom. At the same time, these lords also sent a message to him, requesting that they wished to become his affiliated kingdom. Among these lords were the Almighty Beast Lord, Grey Wing Lord, Lion Lord, Black Beast Lord, Blood Demon Lord, Red Feather Lord. Zhou was very familiar with them because they had all auctioned kingdom tokens from him. Good God! I just unlocked the affiliated kingdom quota, and these guys rushed up one by one. Zhou smiled and counted the number of applications. 58. Some time ago, he had sold 58 beginner kingdom tokens, creating 58 new beginner kingdoms for the human race on Cerulean Planet. None of these new kingdoms of the Cerulean Planet's human race wanted to develop independently after all. All of them wanted to become the affiliated kingdom of the Blazing Sun Kingdom. Zhou stroked his chin and found it interesting. Lords who could bid for the kingdom token were all very ambitious people. There could only be one reason for them to give up their ambitions and choose to become an affiliated kingdom, and that was the greater benefits it could provide to them. Chapter 986 Allocation of Spots. Requirements to advance to a basic empire. Actually, if it were me, I would probably choose the same thing. I, the common people's regal, am way ahead of my fellow lords after all. I don't even see any hope of surpassing them. If this continues, those who can't become the lord of all races will either become cannon fodder or vassals in the lord of all races contest. They definitely won't be willing to be cannon fodder. This way, the only choice left for them is to become vassals. As for how to become a vassal, who's vassal, and what benefits there are after becoming a vassal, the answer is naturally to become my vassal, which is most in line with their interests. However, I only have 40 empty slots for the basic kingdoms. You'll have to compete for the job. Zhou was not too interested in such matters. He sent someone to call Zheng Yuanqi over. After the two of them returned to the Divine Kingdom's main hall, Zhou discussed the solution to this matter with him. In the end, the two of them decided to determine the priority according to the potential of these kingdoms and their contributions to the Blazing Sun Kingdom. The higher the potential, the more the Lord of Cerulean Planet would contribute to the Blazing Sun Kingdom. Naturally, the higher the priority, and the higher the chance of becoming his affiliated kingdom. Conversely, the priority would be lower. If they still wanted to become his affiliated kingdom, they would have to line up obediently. Only when there were new affiliated kingdom slots would it be their turn. Zheng Yuanqi had no objections. Zhou then talked about the fact that the Advanced Kingdom channel could not accommodate all subjects for the time being. Regarding this matter, Zheng Yuanqi had already prepared a script. He said, I plan to temporarily split the slots to enter the Advanced Kingdom channel into two categories. The first category is for senior officials and senior talents. All high-level officials of the Blazing Sun Kingdom, as well as professionals above the Extraordinary Tier and Extraordinary Tier, are qualified to enter the Advanced Kingdom channel. The second category is the eligibility of family members to enter. The subjects of our Blazing Sun Kingdom can use families as a unit. Each family has the qualifications to enter an Advanced Kingdom channel. Apart from that, I'm going to set up some rules for the slots. I'll strive to make sure that the slots for the 20 billion Advanced Kingdom channels can be fulfilled, so that these slots can play their role. Sure. Zhou nodded. Zheng Yuanqi's suggestions took into account the basic subjects, middle subjects, and high-level subjects of the Blazing Sun Kingdom. They were very suitable for the Blazing Sun Kingdom. There's also the celebration of our Blazing Sun Kingdom's promotion to an Advanced Kingdom. I'll leave this to you, Prime Minister. Zhou smiled. I will definitely do it well now. I won't disappoint your Majesty. Zheng Yuanqi said solemnly. Zhou nodded. Then, the two of them chatted for a while about the future development of the Blazing Sun Kingdom. After chatting for more than an hour, Zheng Yuanqi left full of fighting spirit. After he left, Zhou was yet thinking about the future development direction of the kingdom, as he opened the Lord Communication Group of the affiliated kingdom under the Kingdom Channel. The lords he was familiar with coming over to congratulate him as soon as he was online. Military Industry Lord. Congratulations on your promotion to being the Lord of Advanced Kingdom, Your Majesty. Mystic Heaven Kingdom Beginner. Mystic Heaven Lord. His Majesty is awesome as, silenced. Undead Kingdom Beginner. Undead Lord, Your Majesty is awesome. Your Majesty, how did you advance to an Advanced Kingdom? It's so painful for me to advance to an intermediate kingdom now. Elemental gems are too difficult to collect. Dragon Blood Kingdom Beginner. Dragon Lady Lord +1. These life elemental gems and death elemental gems are too difficult to collect. During this period of time, I've followed His Majesty and fought many battles. I've obtained a lot of high-level elemental gems, but I yet can't gather the number of gems needed to upgrade my territory. This requirement is too ridiculous. Heavenly Commerce Kingdom Beginner. Gold Merchant Lord, that's right. Other than war, I can also purchase some senior elemental gems and basic elemental gems from some small forces around the territory. But even so, I still can't collect enough high-level elemental gems. Magic Kingdom Beginner. Magic Lord, I have the worst luck. Not only do I need elemental gems to upgrade my territory, I also need elemental gems to cultivate and recover my magic power. I don't even know when I can upgrade to Advanced Kingdom like His Majesty. Paper Immortal Kingdom Beginner. Paper Immortal Lord, actually, I've read some common knowledge books published by local lords. According to common sense, a beginner kingdom needs at least hundreds or even thousands of years to gather enough requirements to upgrade the kingdom to an intermediate grade kingdom. Actually, our speed is already much faster than other lords' forces. There's no need to be too anxious. Undead Kingdom Beginner. Undead Lord, then why did His Majesty level up so quickly? As soon as these words were spoken, the rest of the people immediately rebuked him. Are you comparing yourself to His Majesty? Even the lords of all races who came from top bloodlines could not compare to His Majesty in this aspect. What right do you have to think that you can surpass His Majesty? After the Undead Lord saw this, he immediately stopped talking. When Zhou saw their conversation, he could not help but fall into deep thought. Zhou was naturally very clear about the difficulty of collecting the life and death elemental gems. It was already rather difficult for him to collect these elemental gems, let alone these lords of the affiliated kingdoms who were even inferior to him. However, he would not have to be troubled by these couple elemental gems when he upgrades the advanced Blazing Sun Kingdom to the beginner Blazing Sun Empire. At that time, he could sell the life elemental gems and death elemental gems he had collected to them. It could also be considered as strengthening his wings. Zhou swiftly made this decision. However, he didn't say it out loud now. It wouldn't be too late to discuss this matter after he upgraded the Blazing Sun Kingdom to the Blazing Sun Empire. Then, he opened the kingdom interface of the Blazing Sun Kingdom. Kingdom name, Blazing Sun Kingdom. King of the Blazing Sun, Kingdom level, Advanced Kingdom, Kingdom flag. All stars cover the sun. Kingdom Army, Blazing Sun Army Legendary Tier. Monster Army Legendary Tier. Dragon God Army Legendary Tier. Heavenly Map Army, Epic Tier. Homeland Defense Army Yellow Gold Tier. Prerequisites to advance to a beginner empire. Territory level up to low tier deity level elementary grade. King City region level up to low tier deity level elementary. Grade 1000 low tier deity level elementary grade divine crystals. Conquer 3 advanced Crimson Kingdoms under the Crimson Overlord. 0/3. Conquer couple advanced kingdoms that are not under the Crimson Overlord. 0/2. Conquer any lower tier deity level elementary grade lord faction and possess its low tier deity level elementary grade empire token. 0/1. Own 10,000 independent regional territories. Own 100 race heroes. Own 3 worshipped god spirit of your own race. After reading this promotion information, Zhou fell into deep thought. Apart from the fact that it's a little troublesome to upgrade the territory level to low tier deity level elementary grade, the other requirements don't seem difficult. He muttered to himself. Chapter 987 The 4 Levels of the Empire. Zhou was deep in thought. His kingdom was already a high-tier deity-level regional territory. It had already far exceeded the requirement of a lower-level regional territory. As for the other 1,000 low-tier deity-level elementary grade divine crystals, 10,000 independent regional territories, 100 race heroes, and 3 deities of their race, he had already fulfilled these 4 requirements. In the end, only the territory level upgraded to low-tier deity level elementary grade, conquered 3 high-level Crimson Kingdoms under the Crimson Overlord, 2 advanced kingdoms that were not under the Crimson Overlord, and any one of the beginner empire's lord factions had its low-tier deity level elementary grade empire token. Putting the first one aside, he was still far from reaching this requirement. He needed to take it slow. As for the request to conquer the kingdom, It was naturally easy for the current he to accomplish it. There was almost no difficulty to speak of. The only thing that surprised he was the last request. Conquer any beginner empire's lord faction, and possess its low-tier deity-level elementary grade empire token? When Zhou saw this request, he was very surprised. When it's time to advance to the beginner empire, do I have to forcefully conquer a beginner empire as an advanced kingdom to qualify for advancement? He muttered. This was something that had never happened before among the requirements for territory promotion and kingdom promotion. In the past, as long as he conquered a few lord factions of the same level as him, and proved that he was outstanding enough among those of the same level, he could advance to a higher level lord faction. Now he actually had to fight against a higher level lord faction to advance to a higher level. To an ordinary lord's faction, the difficulty had increased by more than a little. Beginner empire lord faction, Zhou pondered. With the strength of the lord faction that he currently controlled, it was not impossible to go against an empire-level lord faction. For now, if the empire-level lord factions in the High Continent were not divided according to the empire level, but according to the combat level, they could generally be divided into 4 levels. Tier 1 Empire. A beginner empire lord faction with high-tier deity-level fight power. It can command one or even several high-tier deity-level god spirits to fight for its empire. Tier 2 Empire. An empire-level lord faction with some true god-tier techniques. For example, if he had a treasure that could release the power of a true god-tier elementary grade existence, or if he had a relationship with a true god-tier elementary grade existence, he could ask this true god-tier elementary grade existence to help his empire once, or if he had other true god-tier techniques. Usually, only intermediate or advanced empire lords would have such a foundation. The 3rd level, an empire-level lord faction with the worship of a true god tier, could command a true god tier to fight for their empire. Typically, only an empire-level lord faction like the Elven Empire, that was infinitely close to a divine kingdom lord faction, would hold such a faction. This kind of empire faction could already prepare to advance to a beginner divine kingdom lord faction. As for the 4th level, it was the Super Empire's lord faction. The Super Empire's lord faction was what was mentioned previously. Even though it was not a divine kingdom lord faction, its combat strength was already comparable to some weak beginner divine kingdom lord factions. Not only did he have more than 2 true god-tier worshipped god spirits, but he also had 1 or 2 master god-tier techniques. Zhou felt that even though his Blazing Sun Kingdom had just reached the level of an advanced kingdom, in terms of combat strength, it was already comparable to a 3rd-level empire. In other words, under the premise that he did not provoke level 3 empires and super empires, he could ensure his safety 100% by attacking level 1 empires and level 2 empires. He also had a huge guarantee of winning rate. This way, he could conquer a beginner empire and obtain its empire token while ensuring the safety of himself and the kingdom, thus completing the last necessity to advance to a beginner empire. In that case, it's crucial to choose the target to attack. Coincidentally, among the people of foreign races who stopped the humans from retreating to the primordial world, there are 11 people of foreign races who have yet to be dealt with. Let my intelligence organization find a suitable target from them. Zhou thought. In any case, he would fight anyone. Why not fight someone who had a grudge? At this moment, he suddenly sensed something and looked outside the Divine Kingdom passageway, where the Forbidden Archmage statue was. Have you completed your class advancement? He muttered before his body suddenly vanished from the spot. In front of the Forbidden Archmage statue, Zhao Xiaodao and Sun Yu, who had changed their Violent Storm Spirit robes into Forbidden Mage robes, felt the Forbidden Mage inheritance in their minds, and were pleasantly surprised and excited. I actually became an Empire-level spellcasting profession Forbidden Mage? Sun Yu said happily. She felt that everything she had experienced during this period of time was a little dreamy. She was originally just an ordinary girl from a tailor's family in the Blazing Sun Kingdom. The family was not poor, but it was definitely not rich. Even though he was a little good-looking, he was ordinary in other aspects. Originally, She contemplated that her future life would be to become a tailor who inherited her family's skills and find a handsome boy she liked to marry. Then she would forget about her ordinary life. Unexpectedly one day, her extraordinary tier teacher suddenly came looking for her. He uttered that during the magician constitution testing ceremony, he discovered that she had a good talent in wind magic. He said that he hoped to take her in as his disciple and inherit her mantle in the future. That teacher was an epic tier elemental archmage. Her family was extremely excited to be able to become a disciple of such a teacher. How could she reject him? Hence, she became the envied disciple of an archmage. Originally, she contemplated that her life had passed in the glory of a mage's life. Unexpectedly, 2 days later, her teacher suddenly said that she had obtained a recruitment spot for the Homeland Defense Army from her good friend. Her teacher asked her, her only student, to accept this spot so that she could become a soldier of the Homeland Defense Army. In the future, not only would she be able to change her profession to a kingdom-level spellcasting profession, Violent Storm Spirit, for free, but she would also be able to receive official resources from the Blazing Sun Kingdom to nurture her. This way, her path to becoming a high-level professional in the future would be smooth. In the future, she might even be able to surpass her teacher and become a legendary tier professional. Therefore, she joined the Homeland Defense Army in a daze and turned from an ordinary elemental mage to a noble kingdom-level spellcasting professional, Violent Storm Spirit. Just as she contemplated that she was going to spend the rest of her life in the future of the official iron rice bowl that everyone envied, she, who was patrolling with the captain in the capital, was suddenly called over by someone, saying that His Majesty had asked them to go over. In the face of His Majesty's orders, she and the captain naturally did not dare to disobey. They did not want to disobey either, so they followed excitedly. Then, she and the captain found out that His Majesty wanted to give them a chance to become Empire-level spellcaster professionals for free. He even asked if they were willing. Was there a need to ask? Of course he was willing. Therefore, before Sun Yu could familiarize herself with the profession skills of the Violent Storm Spirit, she directly went from a kingdom-level spellcasting professional to a noble empire-level spellcasting professional. Am I going to become a god next? Sun Yu, who was still a Black Iron tier and had not even participated in the battle, could not help but be suspicious. Chapter 988 Powerful Forbidden Mage. Unlimited firepower. At this moment Zhao Xiaodao, who was at the side, was a legendary tier expert. Even though he was much more mature than Sun Yu, and was not as excited as her, he was still extremely excited when he sensed the powerful Forbidden Mage inheritance. This Forbidden Mage can actually release forbidden spells at the Black Iron tier. At my legendary tier level, I can even release legendary tier forbidden spells that are comparable to weaker law skills. This Forbidden Mage is definitely a super profession 10 times stronger than the Violent Storm Spirit. Zhao Xiaodao thought to himself. Then, he looked at the tall Forbidden Archmage statue and had another bold idea. The Blazing Sun Kingdom now had tens of billions of Violent Storm Spirit professional soldiers. If these Violent Storm Spirit professional soldiers were all changed to Forbidden Mages, Zhao Xiaodao's body shuddered. If that was the case, even if their Blazing Sun Kingdom's combat strength did not increase by 10 times, it would not be a problem to increase it by 5 to 6 times. At this moment, Zhou suddenly teleported in front of them. Greetings, Your Majesty. The two of them hurriedly said respectfully, How do you feel? Zhou looked at them and asked with a smile. I feel. The two of them looked at each other and said in unison, That's great. Zhou laughed and clicked on their attributes panel. Subject, Sun Yu. Territory, Blazing Sun Kingdom. Combat profession name, Forbidden Mage. Profession class, Black Iron tier intermediate grade. Ability overview. A lucky, kind, and easily satisfied girl has unknowingly obtained a future that she doesn't even dare to think about. Skills, talent, Wind Girl, talent, Lux Blessing, Empire-level professional talent. Soul of Forbidden Curse, Empire-level professional talent. Elemental Spirit, Empire-level professional talent. Instant Magic, Empire-level professional talent. Interpretation of forbidden curse, Black Iron Tier elementary grade magic. Summoning violent wind, Black Iron Tier elementary grade flame spray, Black Iron Tier elementary grade forbidden spell magic. Wind and fire blast into the heavens. Loyalty 95, potential, mid-tier deity level advanced grade. Subject, Zhao Xiaodao, territory, Blazing Sun Kingdom. Combat profession name, Forbidden Mage, profession class, legendary tier advanced grade. Ability overview, a veteran of the Blazing Sun Kingdom's army. At the same time, he is also a diligent and hardworking spellcaster professional. His personality is diligent and pragmatic. His hobby is to decipher the mysteries of spells. His dream is to become an earth elemental magic god spirit of the Blazing Sun Kingdom. Skills. Empire-level professional talent. Soul of Forbidden Curse. Empire-level professional talent. Elemental Spirit. Empire-level professional talent. Forbidden Curse expertise. Empire-level professional talent. Instant Magic. Empire-level professional talent. Magic acumen. Black Iron Tier elementary grade magic. Earthquake. Black Iron Tier elementary grade forbidden spell. Earthquake. Black Iron Tier elementary grade magic. Summon Stone Man. Green Bronze Tier elementary grade magic. Word of the Earth. Green Bronze Tier elementary grade forbidden magic. Summon Rock Giant. White Silver Tier elementary grade magic. Petrification. White Silver Tier elementary grade magic. Turning stones into gold. White Silver Tier elementary grade forbidden spell magic. Black Stone Realm. Legendary Tier elementary grade magic. Meteorites falling from the sky. Legendary Tier elementary grade forbidden spell. Sky stars exploding to the ground. Loyalty. Fanatic believer. Potential. Low tier deity level advanced grade. Zhou nodded in satisfaction after reading their attributes. As expected of an empire level profession that was opened from a mythical tier treasure chest. Not only did he master the casting ability of conventional magic, he had also started to cast a forbidden spell on the caster from the Black Iron Tier. Moreover, every time he advanced by a large level, he would be given a new forbidden spell. From this point alone, this spellcasting profession was definitely one of the top Empire-level spellcasting professions among all the Empire-level spellcasting professionals. Moreover, forbidden spells represented the pinnacle of magic, as well as the essence of elemental laws. The more he studied forbidden spells, the deeper his research and understanding of elemental laws would be. This way, the difficulty of forbidden spell mages advancing to god spirits related to elemental laws would definitely be reduced by more than 20 to 30% compared to other professions. His combat ability is superior to his peers, and his capability is also astonishing. He can even increase the probability of becoming a god. A top-grade Empire-level spellcasting profession. Zhou sighed. Then, he chatted with the two of them for a while about how it felt to change professions and become a forbidden mage. After gaining a deeper understanding of the advantages and disadvantages of this profession, he let the two of them return to the team. He stood rooted to the ground in deep thought. Even though forbidden mages can release forbidden spells with powerful destructive power, can the magic power in their bodies only support them to use forbidden spells once in a battle? Equivalent to a disposable weapon? Zhou thought about it and shook his head. No, there is a way to solve this issue easily. That is to use potions to recover mana and mental strength. On the High Continent, there were many potions that could restore all the magic power and mental strength of a mage in one go. Mages were very frequent in the High Continent after all, second only to martial artists, rangers, and adventurers. The forbidden mage was actually a sub-profession of mages. The potions that mages could use to recover their magic power could naturally be used by forbidden mages as well. However, most of these potions were expensive, and the ingredients needed to make them were scarce. Mages felt that using these potions was not cost-effective, so they rarely used them unless it was a critical moment. In front of the wealthy Zhou, these were naturally not a problem. Furthermore, he still had Linger's divine medicinal gardens. He could quickly cultivate all kinds of rare medicinal herbs. This way, it wouldn't be an issue to create the raw materials for these rare medicinal herbs. Zhou grinned when he thought that he could satisfy both of these conditions. In the eyes of the outside world, a forbidden mage is only an empire career equivalent to a disposable weapon. However, I can use my affluence to forcefully pile them into an unlimited firepower to use, he thought. Since that was the case tonight, he would change all the tens of billions of violent storm spirit soldiers under him to forbidden mages. At that time, with his command, 10 billion forbidden mages would release forbidden spells at the same time. Even if there was not a single god spirit level forbidden archmage among these 10 billion forbidden mages, they could still easily kill a high-tier deity level. If Zhou ordered these tens of billions of forbidden mages to cleanse the territory of other races, under the premise of providing an unlimited amount of magic recuperation and mental strength potions, it would probably take less than a day to completely turn the entire territory of a small race into a forbidden death zone that no longer had any life forms. Just as Zhou was fantasizing about the future of the forbidden mage soldier type, the sky above the blazing sun kingdom suddenly changed color. The clouds in the sky within a radius of 10 million miles turned sky blue, emitting powerful wind and spatial nomological power. Higher up in the starry sky, a divine kingdom star that had been sleeping for an unknown period of time suddenly woke up. Then, it emitted an extremely resplendent nomological light mixed with sky blue and bright silver, illuminating the myriad worlds. This familiar scene made Zhou immediately realize that an existence had advanced to become a true god tier. And this existence, Zhou suddenly turned to look in the direction of the divine kingdom passageway. Is it that wind god source embryo? Oh my god! A true god tier at birth? Zhou muttered, his face filled with joy. Chapter 989 Birth of the Heavenly Dragon God 1. Zhou instantly entered the Divine Kingdom's main hall. He picked up the Wind God Source embryo that was about to be born and brought it to the outside world. He placed the embryo in an empty space. At the same time, he placed more than 20 true God tier elementary grade divine crystals, 10 true God tier intermediate grade divine crystals, and 1 true God tier advanced grade divine crystal around the Wind God Source embryo for the Dragon God's advancement in the Divine Source embryo. He heaved a sigh of relief after doing all this. While his Divine Kingdom world was inherently powerful, it was not powerful enough to support the advancement of a true God tier, when comparable to the middle world of a true God tier. That was why Zhou had brought him to the High Continent, which was protected by the Supreme Will. Only then could he support the Dragon God that was about to be born in the Wind God Source embryo and become a true God tier at birth. As for the true God tier divine crystals left behind, they were naturally for he to condense the dragon body of a true God tier. Gerald had a human body, so he did not need so many true God tier divine crystals to condense the body of a true God tier body. However, the dragon god was extremely huge. It was extremely normal for it to be more than 10,000 kilometers in size. B0XO. Therefore, it was necessary to leave behind so many true God tier divine crystals. Then, he activated 2 layers of the 9 Worlds Divine Demon Dreamfall Array to protect Gerald's birth, just like how he had protected Gerald previously. After doing all this, Zhou looked at the Wind God Source embryo that was floating in midair and constantly absorbing the energy of the world and the surrounding true God tier divine crystals to prevent more wind elements from breaking out on the surface in an attempt to break the eggshell. He thought about what else he could do to increase the probability of the other party becoming a true god at birth. He suddenly thought of something. With a thought, he contacted Zhou and asked him to bring the Wind God Dragon's child Cecir to him. Following that, he disappeared from where he was and quickly reappeared on the spot. Then, he waved his right hand. A dragon bone that was more than 10,000 kilometers tall appeared above the Wind God Source embryo. It was the dragon god of heavenly wind, Kika's dragon bone. This dragon bone that was over 10,000 kilometers tall stood in the sky, causing the residents of the blazing sun kingdom to involuntarily raise their heads to look over. If not for the fact that they had followed Zhou until now and had seen hundreds of pure-blooded dragons, It might have already caused panic among the subjects in the capital. However, even so, they stopped and watched for a long time. All of them were very surprised. They had seen many pure-blooded dragons, but this was the first time they had seen a dead dragon with such a huge body, and in the form of a bone dragon after all. Looking at the aura of this bone dragon, it should be a long-dead dragon. It's at least a dragon at the God Spirit tier, and the God Spirit tier is not low. Only His Majesty knows how to make such a huge dragon bone in the sky above the capital. TSK, is this His Majesty's new loots? A bunch of people who haven't studied much. According to this necromancer's understanding, this should be the remains of a top-grade true god tier dragon bone. If I can obtain him, when I become a true god in the future, I should be able to cultivate a true god-level bone dragon subordinate. Stop bragging. With your potential, it's already a blessing for His Majesty to be able to break through to the low-level god realm. I heard that our kingdom has a special legendary tier regional territory called New Wind Dragon City. There's a true god tier dragon bone there. Could it be this dragon bone? There were many capable people in the capital city, and they were able to roughly guess the origin of this dragon bone. At the same time, Zhou also looked at the dragon bone in the sky and said softly, I brought all your remains when you were alive. For this reason, I gave up the top-grade legendary tier territory in New Wind Dragon City and temporarily turned it into an ordinary legendary tier territory. In a while, my clone will bring your child over too. I've done everything I can. I've given you everything I can. The rest is up to you. Roar. The wind god source embryo seemed to have heard what he said, and it let out a resolute dragon roar. The advancement of a true god tier shocked the world. When the wind god source embryo of the Blazing Sun Kingdom was about to give birth to a true god tier, all the super experts in the entire high continent, and even the endless heavens were alarmed by the awakened true god tier divine kingdom star in the starry sky. Their gazes landed on the wind god source embryo, suspended in midair in the center of the Blazing Sun Kingdom. Then they were shocked. This is the birth of a true god tier? He's not like a god but more like a god. How long has it been since the Blazing Sun Kingdom was established? Why was a true god tier birthed in the territory? It can't be considered a birth. The existence in this egg was at the true god tier realm when it was alive. Now it should be considered a reincarnation after death. It inherited the legacy of its predecessor, so it was born at the true god tier realm. Furthermore, did you see those true god tier divine crystals? Without these divine crystals, this reincarnated true god tier would probably only be a low-level god spirit after birth. If he wanted to recover his strength, he would have to take his time. However, with these true god tier divine crystals, after reincarnation, they could directly awaken the divine kingdom stars when they were alive and recover their strength when they were alive. They even had a chance to advance to a higher level. I have to admit that the person who dared to invest so many true god tier divine crystals is really a bold gambler. He actually dared to invest in an egg. Furthermore, he might very well have succeeded in his gamble. Not only can this reborn existence be reborn after death, but he probably already has the potential to become a master god tier. The moment the word master god tier came out, all the super experts who were discussing it in secret had strange thoughts. That was a master god tier, a super existence that could suppress an entire race. Even among top races like the original spirit race, the chaos gods race, and the shepherd's god race, they could be considered top experts. If they roped in this existence who would become a master god tier expert in the future, if he really became a master god tier in the future, it would simply be a great achievement to support their race that could bless the people of the blessed land for countless years. Who wouldn't want such a good thing? But when they looked at the location of the wind god source embryo, they fell silent again. That was the territory of the common people's regal. Many true god tiers had already died in the hands of this common people's regal up till now. Even legendary tier existences at the master god tier level couldn't stop the true god tier under the reincarnated dragon from advancing. It had to be uttered that some true god tiers were already a little afraid of this common people's regal with his valiant battle achievements. Ordinary true God-tier existences really didn't dare to easily provoke this common people's regal. The top true God-tier God spirits were not willing to take the risk easily. As for master God-tier existences, they could not even descend to the high continent with their main bodies. Then there was the problem. Who would snatch this true God-tier that was on the verge of be born from the hands of the common people's regal? What concerned them the most was, what if this existence who was born a true God-tier was like Geralt, and had a close relationship with the common people's regal, and was protected by the supreme agreement? Wouldn't their efforts be in vain if they took the risk to do it? Wouldn't they even risk putting themselves at risk? They immediately hesitated thinking about this. Even though Zhou had been on guard against the commotion caused by the wind god source embryo and the gazes of the gods, he was not too nervous. In any case, he, who was below the Master God tier level, had no problem staying alive. Master God tier and powerful beings above Master God tier couldn't come to the high continent. In that case, what was there to support him to be afraid of? At this moment, he was staring intently at the wind god source embryo not far away. The true God tier divine crystals that he had positioned around the wind god source embryo were being absorbed by the wind god source embryo at an astonishing speed. In just a short while, more than half of the true God tier divine crystals had been absorbed by the wind god source embryo. This absorption speed is a little unexpected, Zhou muttered when he saw this scene. Chapter 990 Birth of the Heavenly Dragon God 2. It seemed that his new pet's potential was at least at that of Master God tier elementary grade. Moreover, judging from the way it absorbed the divine crystals, it was not impossible for it to be at the Master God tier intermediate grade, or even the advanced grade. Otherwise, it would not have absorbed them so quickly. He threw another 10 true God tier advanced grade divine crystals out without hesitation. Absorb. Absorb all you want. Your master may not have much, but I have plenty of divine crystals. You can have whatever you want as long as it wasn't a Master God tier divine crystal. With the support of Zhou's divine crystals, the wind god source embryo's aura of breaking through to the true God tier was even stronger. It had a feeling of pressing forward courageously and fearlessly. B0XO. Zhou could feel it. With the abundant supply of true God tier divine crystals, the speed at which the god spirits in the wind god source embryo were shaping their true god bodies increased significantly. From the looks of it, the other party will be able to break out of the shell and become a true God tier in less than 2 to 3 hours. From the looks of it, the other party will be able to break out of the shell and become a true God tier in less than 2 to 3 hours. He silently guarded this place and didn't go anywhere else. This concerned the second true God in his territory, so he naturally didn't dare to slack off. The only thing that puzzled him was that the birth of a second true God tier in his territory didn't attract the attention of the people of foreign races. Not to mention the sneak attack of a Master God tier. Not even many true God tiers from the people of foreign races came over. He could even sense that at the beginning, because the wind god source embryo had awakened the divine kingdom's stars, it had attracted the attention of a large group of true gods, and even lord gods. Until now, the gazes of these people of foreign races' enemies actually decreased instead of increasing. It was as if these people of foreign race god spirits no longer wanted to care about the birth of this true God tier expert in his territory. Zhou had some guesses about this. Strength is indeed the best weapon to deal with all unfavorable situations. I only revealed my true God tier intermediate grade combat strength and the power of my will. I killed a few true God tier and blocked the mental attack of a Master God tier expert. I actually made them not dare to attack me easily, he thought. Then, he stopped thinking and continued to pay attention to the birth of the wind god source embryo. At this moment, Geralt and Cecir suddenly teleported in front of Zhou. Your Majesty? Geralt and Cecir looked at the two identical Zhous in shock. It's just a clone technique. Don't be so surprised. Zhou waved his hand and did not explain further. Then he pointed at the wind god source embryo and looked at Cecir. Cecir, Your mother's reincarnation is about to be born. I felt that you had to be present, so I called you over. However, don't be too agitated, lest you disturb the birth of your mother's reincarnation. In addition, things might be a little different from what you imagined. After reincarnation, your mother can only be considered your mother's reincarnation. She's equivalent to a bloodline successor. Don't have too high hopes for her. It's best not to directly treat her as your biological mother before you explain things to her. Cecir was stunned by Zhou words. However, he was a pure-blooded dragon after all. He had many legacies in his body, so he quickly understood what His Majesty meant. Thank you, Your Majesty, for allowing me to come back and see this. I will definitely remain calm. Cecir said seriously. That's good. Zhou nodded. In the following period of time, Zhou and company had been waiting for the Wind God Source embryo to be born. Around the 4th hour, roar! A shocking dragon roar suddenly erupted from the Wind God Source embryo. This voice pierced through space like a gust of wind and spread throughout the myriad worlds. The trillions of life forms in the myriad worlds vaguely heard this carefree dragon roar. Then, a green-silver light suddenly erupted from it and transformed into a beam of light that shot into the starry sky, connecting with the Divine Kingdom star that was emitting a sky blue and bright silver light. The Divine Kingdom star shone even brighter. Zhou and company gazed at the Divine Kingdom star. At this moment, a scene that shocked thousands of life forms appeared. The starry sky gradually changed and finally turned into a 100,000-kilometer-long cosmic dragon. His pair of silver-white dragon eyes gazed down at the myriad worlds and the high continent, filled with a high and mighty aura. This scene was destined to be remembered by billions of life forms. This is a dragon with the potential of a master god tier? Many gods who were secretly observing could not help but mutter when they saw this scene. Right on the heels of that, the divine dragon slowly dissipated into the starry sky. The living beings who saw this scene felt inexplicably disappointed. Master, a 1-meter-tall silver dragon with a slightly transparent body that emitted a faint green-silver glow, and a childish voice, stood in front of Zhou and raised its head. He opened his bright greenish-silver dragon eyes and gazed at Zhou obediently. Geralt and Cecir watched this scene with their mouths agape. Who would have thought that the adorable dragon in front of them was the dragon that had just displayed its supreme prestige in the starry sky? Especially Cecir. He felt like he was in a dream. This Lollet. No, is this dragon god really my mother's reincarnation? He had some doubts, but he knew that the other party was indeed his mother's reincarnation, sensing the familiar aura. It was just that things had changed. Dragon god of heavenly wind, Kika? Zhou grinned at the green-silver dragon. I'm still Kika, but I'm not the dragon god of heavenly wind anymore. I'm called the heavenly dragon god now. The pinnacle of wind and the vastness of space. The combination of the two is heaven. That is the heavenly dragon god. The heavenly dragon god, Kika clarified seriously. Zhou grinned and nodded. Then, he unveiled the other party's attribute panel. Pet, Kika race, pureblood dragon divine name. Heavenly dragon god divine duty. Space, wind, speed cutting, growing stage, youth strength level. True god tier elementary grade, skills. Annihilation dragon breath, heavenly dragon power, law divine body, space, wind, speed. Law skill space fusion, law skill ultimate speed, law skill infinite cutting, law skill splitting sky annihilation / law skill. Dragon flying clothes, law techniques, gate of infinite space 10,000 winds. Gang Yuan / dragon language magic mastery, wind magic mastery, space magic mastery. True god tier elemental immunity. Awakening level 80%. True god tier physical immunity. Awakening level 80%. True god tier soul immunity. Awakening degree 60%. Potential. Master god tier intermediate grade. Faith points. Holy Spirit. Character. Free dreamer. Talkative, pure soul, sincere, protective of the Lord, kind, gentle, loves to travel. Pet description. Once the powerful dragon god of heavenly wind in several realms. After his nirvana and reincarnation as the heavenly dragon god, it has higher potential and a more glorious future. As long as it does not give up on itself, It is destined to reign supremacy in the sea of stars in the future. Chapter 991 True God Tier Regional Territory, Primordial World. Zhou looked at Kika's attribute panel and nodded in satisfaction. Master God Tier Intermediate Grade Potential. Even though it was still inferior to Nazario, Nazario was a legendary dragon, which also had the support of the Juggernaut of the Abyss, a Master God Tier God Spirit's inheritance. This allowed him to have the greatest potential of a Master God Tier Advanced Grade, the world's limit. Furthermore, Kika was not a legendary dragon and did not have the support of the inheritance of a Master God Tier God Spirit. Under such circumstances, it was already quite good that her potential could reach Master God Tier Intermediate Grade. If Kika obtained the enhancement of the Master God Tier inheritance in the future, Zhou could almost be sure that its potential would definitely advance to the limit of the world. As for whether it could advance to the legendary dragon race, it was hard to say. The appearance of a legendary dragon largely depended on luck after all. One could not advance to a legendary dragon just because one had high potential and strength. Otherwise, they would all be legendary dragons with so many dragon gods in the dragon race. You'll follow me from now on. Zhou looked at Kika and said, as for Nazario, he should not be used as a mount with his ability. That would be a waste of his valiant combat strength. His stage was still on the battlefield. Just like in the past, he protected the army under him, killing powerful enemies and attacking cities. Yes, master. Kika nodded. Then he looked at Cecir, who was behind Zhou. Cecir. He greeted. Hello, Ms. Kika. Cecir hesitated and said. Kika smiled and said, even though I have a close relationship with your mother has really passed away. I'm just your mother's reincarnation. Strictly speaking, you and I are indeed related by blood. However, it is not mother and son. Instead, it is like biological siblings. Call me Big Sister if you like. Big Sister. Cecir answered in a panic, then said, Big Sister, the war in the kingdom still needs me. I'll return to the battlefield first. We will talk later. With that, he flew straight for a galaxy in the distance. Zhou and company were rendered speechless when they saw this. You're the first blood relative Cecir has seen since he was born. He is probably not used to it for a while, so he chose to escape for a while. But don't worry, I can tell that he is still very happy deep down. Zhou could read people's minds, and could tell Cecir's mental state at a glance. Kika understands. Kika nodded and said seriously, he is also the closest dragon to Kika in this world other than Master. Kika will protect him in the future. Zhou acknowledged. Then after he chatted with Kika for a while, Kika disappeared into thin air. Zhou, who was sensitive to space, could clearly sense that the other party was hiding in space and guarding beside him. He nodded slightly in his heart. Then, he gazed upon Geralt. Why did you come back with us? I heard that His Majesty's clone uttered that a new true god tier is about to advance in our blazing sun kingdom. I was curious and witnessed that there was no urgent battle on the army's side, so I applied to be back. Geralt gave his reason. Zhou nodded and said, that's good. This afternoon, the human race will hold a holy god ceremony for us in the primordial world to boost the morale of the human race. Me, you, and the heavenly dragon god, let's participate. Don't worry about the army. With my clone around, unless an existence above the level of a top true god tier descends, nothing big will happen. Yes, your majesty. Geralt hesitated for a moment before nodding. Even though he had some grievances with the upper echelons of the human race, since he had become His Majesty's subordinate, he had to give him some face. Then go back and continue to guard the army. Zhou turned to look at Zhou. Zhou nodded and immediately teleported away. Seeing this, Zhou led Geralt and Kika towards the Night Temple. The Night Temple was his Lord Talent building. Even though the passage from the temple to the front line of the abyss had been completely sealed, another passage to the primordial world had been opened. This passageway was convenient for Zhou to bring people directly to the primordial world. He did not have to go all the way to the primordial world to find the spatial teleportation array. The primordial world. The chi of heaven and earth here was extremely abundant. 1,000-meter tall ancient trees could be seen everywhere. And there were even tall wild beasts walking, flying, or swimming between the mountains and rivers of the world. When Zhou and company arrived and witnessed this scene, they immediately trembled. The level and density of this natural energy. This is a true God-tier regional territory? Zhou was shocked. He originally thought that his high-tier deity-level regional territory, the Blazing Sun King, was enough to look down on the entire human race. He did not expect that the legendary primordial world of the human race was actually a true God-tier regional territory. What did a true God-tier regional territory mean? This meant that the life forms born from the primordial world did not have to leave the primordial world. They could at most advance to the high-tier deity-level advanced grade, just by relying on the nourishment of the primordial world's origin. Of course, it was impossible to advance to the true God tier. There was only one way for a high-tier deity level to become a true God tier, and that was to leave this world and enter a world that was at least at the greater 1,000 level. Even so, a regional territory that could give birth to high-tier deity-level god spirits was already astonishing enough. Apart from that, Zhou also sensed that there was something special about this true God-tier territory. For example, when he was in the primordial world, he could acutely sense that his perception seemed to have improved a little compared to before he entered the primordial world. One had to know that Zhou's comprehension had already increased to an extremely terrifying level after experiencing many enhancements. Even the Lord's Law, which was the most difficult to comprehend among the endless laws, could easily be comprehended and deeply comprehended by him. Under such circumstances, when he entered the primordial world, his understanding ability could be improved slightly by the primordial world's specialties. If an ordinary human with ordinary understanding came to the primordial world, he would probably immediately become a genius in the outside world. Another special thing was that as Zhou, who had the will like light realm, he could also sense that an ancient and great existence was sleeping in this primordial world. He seemed to be one with the primordial world, but if one searched carefully, they would not be able to find him. Emperor Pengu? Zhou pondered. Only the master god-tier secret technique, created by Emperor Pengu, could achieve such an unbelievable feat. He thought about it and already had some ideas. In addition, it was no wonder that the Yellow Emperor and the others had uttered that they had long been prepared to construct a divine kingdom. It was only because of the obstruction of the people of foreign races that they had not built a divine kingdom. He had satisfied the number of true God tier and the territory of the true God tier region. These two most difficult conditions had been met. The remaining conditions could be met slowly. Indeed, sooner or later they would be met. Chapter 992 The Yellow Emperor's Selection. Ranking. Your Excellency Common People's Regal. Your Excellency Original Sin, and the True God Tier of Demon Hunting. And, Your Excellency the Heavenly Dragon God. You're finally here. 3 existences emitting the aura of True God Tier flew over rapidly from afar, and arrived in front of them in the blink of an eye. They were the Yellow Emperor Patriarch Lu, and by he, the 3 true God tiers of the human race. They looked at Geralt and Kika behind Zhou, feeling extremely amazed and emotional. How long has it been? This 6th counselor already had 2 true God tier subordinates. In addition, Zhou had the combat power of an unconventional true God tier. Now the true God tier combat power in the Blazing Sun Kingdom alone was comparable to all the true God tier combat power of the entire human race before the battle for supremacy. If Zhou was given more time to develop, he would probably be able to build his divine kingdom in the future. Your Excellency. Zhou nodded slightly and smiled. We're not late, right? Of course not. I just didn't think to expect 3 guests. However, one more doesn't matter. We've already prepared a 3rd seat for the Heavenly Dragon God. As long as this Heavenly Dragon God is willing to join us humans. With that, the Yellow Emperor and the other 2 looked at Kika expectantly. Kika was stunned. He looked at Zhou and said, "Whatever my master tells me to." The Yellow Emperor and company were taken aback before looking at Zhou. Zhou shook his head and smiled. Kika, let's sit together. Sure. Kika nodded obediently. Then come with us. The Yellow Emperor and the others were overjoyed and immediately said. Zhou nodded, and the group soared in the direction of the holy ceremony. On the way, the Yellow Emperor sent a telepathic message to Zhou and sighed. Thank you for bringing 2 more true god tiers to our human race. The number of true god tiers of our human race has once again recovered to 5. It makes me miss the time before the Emperor fell asleep. Your Excellency Yellow Emperor, why are you suddenly being so polite with me? Besides, shouldn't there be 5.5 true god tiers in the human race now? Zhou sent a voice transmission. Ha ha ha, you brat. The Yellow Emperor didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This former human junior was actually teasing him now. However, he didn't feel angry. Instead, he found Zhou more and more pleasing to the eye. Suddenly, he had an idea. He chuckled and sent a voice transmission again. I have a daughter named Ba, and the god's name is Goddess of Drought. She hasn't married yet. I know you already have a wife, but are you willing to take my daughter as your concubine? Zhou, Goddess of Drought? He coughed twice and said, I like free love, not blind dates. Fine. The Yellow Emperor smacked his lips regretfully. By the way, Your Excellency. Zhou changed the topic and asked, can you tell me about your injuries and Imperial Lord Panga's injuries? I have some potions in my hands that might be able to heal them. The Yellow Emperor was stunned. Then, he pondered for a few seconds and decided to convince Zhou, who had created countless miracles. My injuries were tainted by the true god of the people of foreign races, Wuxia, using the true god tier poison, the filthy light nether poison. That's why I had no choice but to seal myself in the Xianyuan tomb, to suppress the poison in my body. As for Imperial Lord Pangu, he was besieged by thousands of god spirits of the people of foreign races, when he was cultivating the heaven-earth creation technique. Even though the Imperial Lord killed these god spirits of the people of foreign races in the end, he was also severely injured, and had no choice but to fuse his body with the primordial world. He has been sleeping until now. Zhou bowed as he thought about what treasure he should take out to treat the Yellow Emperor and Imperial Lord Pangu. Now that he was one of the leaders of the human race and occupied the territory of the human race, he was also a human. In the future, he would definitely be bound together with the human race for good or ill. He naturally wanted to help the humans with the ability. The stronger the human race was, the greater the help he would provide in the future after all. The speed of the true god tier was so fast that it was comparable to Galaxy's full speed. Therefore, after a while, they arrived at the venue of the holy ceremony. Then Zhou, Geralt and Kika, as the new holy gods of the human race, participated in this unprecedented ceremony, where thousands of trillions of humans participated in the celebration. As a true god tier of the dragon race, even though it was a little strange for him to appear as a holy god of the human race, when the humans participating in the ceremony discovered that Kika was a pet that Zhou had signed a contract with, they did not reject him at all. Instead, they began to praise Zhou's strength. During the process of holding the ceremony, Zhou could also sense that although the current human race was trapped in the primordial world, their resentment towards he was almost non-existent. His reputation had even faintly surpassed the Yellow Emperor's due to his achievements, second only to the reputation of the Pangu Emperor. The other upper echelons of the human race had to admit, this low-tier deity-level intermediate-grade god spirit, who had 2 low-level true god-tier god spirits in his hands, was already the second most powerful person in the human race in terms of strength, power, and reputation. At the same time, in the High Continent, at the border of the Divine Elephant Empire, on the outskirts of a diamond-tier territory called Roar Heaven City, Wu, a golden gigantic elephant with the aura of a high-tier deity level, its entire body golden, and more than 10,000 meters tall, had the divine spark in its brain shattered by Su-An's sword accompanied by a wail. Then it fell to the ground weakly and gradually died. Not far away, a text notification appeared in front of Zhou 1. King of 10,000 Kings event hint. You have led your territory soldiers to kill Gerard, the Legion commander of the refined Flame Scarlet Legion, high-tier deity level intermediate grade, a beginner Scarlet Empire. You have made outstanding contributions to this King of 10,000 Kings event. You are rewarded with 1 bottle of potential advancement potion, high-tier deity level intermediate grade, 1 book of the God Spirit, high-tier deity level intermediate grade, 100 divine crystals, high-tier deity level intermediate grade, 1 random special building blueprint. King of 10,000 Kings event hint. You have obtained the achievement Scarlet Beheader, high-tier deity level. Spy Nemesis, high-tier deity level worth 50 million Universal General Faction points. 50 million Universal General Faction points obtained. Awesome. Zhou 1 gazed satisfied. They had resolved a total of 30 targets, and only obtained a total of 1.03 billion Universal General Faction points from the moment they set off today. However, they had obtained 50 million Universal General Faction points with just this one event. It was definitely a huge gain. Then, he opened the rankings. First place, Human Race, Lord of the Blazing Sun, 4,229 million faction points. Second place, Original Spirit Race, True Lord, 3,525 million faction points. Third place, Shepherd's God Race, Heaven Chasing Lord, 3,215 million faction points. Fourth place, Myriad Spirit Race, Spiritual Venerable Lord, 3,089 million faction points. Fourth place, Chaos Gods Race, Great One Lord, 2,611 million faction points. Zhou bowed slightly. Even though these top-notch lords had the backing of powerful races and civilizations, and their collection of faction points was very fast, he had the Eye of the Heavens Anger, which was a divine skill for harvesting faction points. He could quickly collect faction points and surpass them even without relying on outsiders. Next, we have to maintain and expand our advantage until the King of 10,000 Kings event officially ends. These advantages are still not big enough. I have to widen the gap of at least 10 billion faction points to be stable. Zhou 1 had a rough idea after thinking for a while. Bai Yin, after thinking of a solution, he temporarily stopped thinking about this matter. Instead, he called Bai Yin over and said, "This place is closest to the people of foreign races, the Fire Cry race, right? Let's temporarily stop hunting the target of the Eye of the Heavens Anger. Today, we'll eliminate this person of foreign race who's unwilling to accept the surrender letter and show the other people of foreign races so that they can identify the situation." Yes, Your Majesty. Even though Bai Yin had experienced hundreds of battles, her heart still trembled when she heard Zhou 1's words about extermination. However, she replied with a determined expression before turning around to mobilize the troops. Chapter 993. Before the annihilation, 100 galaxy spaceships were flying neatly into the dark universe. Due to the fact that the dark universe could not transmit sound, even if they increased their speed to the maximum, they were still quiet and looked mysterious and dignified. At the same time, in the center of the 100 galaxy spaceships was a special one. The other galaxy ships were all bright silver, and they looked like miniature Milky Ways. This galaxy, on the other hand, was dark silver in color, and its size was only about 1/3 that of the other galaxy. It looked like an exquisite futuristic technology. At this moment, it was protected in the center by the other galaxy, demonstrating its unique status. This spaceship was called the Galaxy Leader, the ultimate lord of the Machina race. Zhou made it with the blueprint of the galaxy that he knew and the technological inheritance he had obtained from the Machina race, in addition to the help of the other machine race god spirits. It was a galaxy that Zhou had specially built for a high-tier deity level advanced grade. Even though it had not reached the level of a true god-tier spaceship, its unique flying engine could make the Galaxy Leader's speed comparable to that of a top-notch true god tier. It could even perform spatial teleportation, which was something that only spatial true gods could do. It could be said that, as long as Zhou boarded the Galaxy Leader, apart from a very small number of top-notch speed-type true god-tier god spirits, who specialized in pursuit, and even more powerful existences. The other true god tiers and existences below the true god tier basically could not catch up to Zhou, who was on the galaxy leader. Zhou, who liked life-saving means, was naturally very happy when he received this gift. Hence, with a wave of his hand, he gave the other party a large number of divine crystals as research and social funds. At this moment, Zhou was in the captain's room of the galaxy leader. He sat on the throne and looked at the projection in front of him. The projection displayed information about the race of the Fire Cry race. The Fire Cry race that he had sent a letter of surrender was a life form of the people of foreign races born from a volcanic eruption. Their habitat was a territory called the Crimson Fire Domain. There were a large number of active and extinct volcanoes in the Crimson Fire Domain. During the eruption of these volcanoes, there was a chance that one or more members of the Fire Cry race would be born amidst the sharp cries of magma eruption. Their body was made of magma. Even if their body was damaged, they could recover by absorbing magma. In addition, they could launch magma from the sky as an offensive method. Therefore, even if they didn't have an extraordinary tier profession, their combat ability was far stronger than that of ordinary humans. In fact, if it was a weak extraordinary tier individual, it was very likely that they would be ambushed and killed in front of the ordinary clansmen of the Fire Cry race. Even ordinary Fire Cry race members were like this, let alone the Fire Cry race members with professions. Their combat power was almost more than one level stronger than human professionals of the same level. Human professionals were unable to fight against the Fire Criers at the same level of strength and profession. However, such a powerful member of the Fire Cry race also had two fatal flaws. First, the members of the Fire Cry race could only use fire-type spells. Most of the god spirits of the Fire Cry race were fire-type god spirits. The nomological paths of other attributes were almost innately insulated from the Fire Cry race. Second, the Fire Cry race was extremely afraid of water element treasures. The combat power of the Fire Cry race members, who were restrained by water attribute treasures, would be reduced by at least half. Even the god spirits of the Fire Cry race were the same. For example, Lesser Een Spirit Water, Great Een Divine Water, Myriad Weighty Black Liquid, Deep Sea Extreme Ice. The human race's territory bordered the Crimson Fire Domain of the Fire Cry race. The two sides had clashed more than once or twice in the past years. There were even records of large-scale wars in human history. The reason why the Fire Cry race could not take advantage of the humans was because of this fatal weakness. Even though the Fire Cry race is a race that can be uttered to be innately extraordinary tier, there's nothing to be afraid of once they find weak lightning. Even though the Fire Cry race is a race that can be said to be innately extraordinary tier, there's nothing to be afraid of once they find weak lightning. Other than spending some time destroying this race, there's no difficulty at all in other places. Thinking of this, Zhou looked at the intelligence on the Fire Cry clan's military strength and clansmen. According to the information bought from the humans, and the information gathered by the three intelligence organizations under him, the Fire Cry race had lost nearly a quarter of their troops to Zhou's soldiers, because they had stopped the humans from retreating to the primordial world. And now, there were only more than 6 billion Fire Cry race soldiers left in the whole Fire Cry race. As for the ordinary clansmen of the Fire Cry clan, they were not affected. There were still about 8 trillion left, which was more than 8 trillion. Over 8 trillion, Zhou muttered to himself. Previously, he was unlucky and felt that the number was ridiculous when he escorted the humans back to the primordial world. Now that he thought about how he was about to exterminate this race, he immediately felt that this was an extremely terrifying number. There were only about 8 billion humans on the whole Earth or cerulean planet. The population of the Fire Cry race alone was 100,000 times that of Earth/cerulean planet. Are we really going to annihilate them? Zhou asked himself. Annihilation was actually not very beneficial to extraordinary tier professionals, because killing ordinary life forms would not provide extraordinary tier professionals with the energy to advance. Ordinary life forms had never stepped onto the extraordinary tier path after all. Where did the promotion energy come from? Only by killing creatures who were also extraordinary tier professionals would they be able to provide promotion energy. Annihilation. It was really a simple massacre under the circumstance of excluding superhumans. Only a faction that truly wanted to completely remove this race from the infinite worlds would do such a thing. The reason why Zhou suddenly had the thought of the annihilation was entirely because the other party had previously stopped the human race from retreating to the primordial world. He wanted the human race to be completely destroyed in the hands of the people of foreign races. The people of foreign races had come because of him. Once the Fire Cry race and the other hostile people of foreign races successfully stopped the humans from retreating to the primordial world, the humans would definitely be wiped out when they arrived. This was because this was the only way to minimize the future development potential of Zhou, the number one lord of all races. At that time, Zhou had thought of giving her a taste of her own medicine. Naturally, he had thought of exterminating her clan. Now that he thought about it, even though his thoughts were satisfying, there would be a lot of trouble when he did it. There were more than 8 trillion members of the Fire Cry race after all. Zhou's soldiers would have to fight endlessly for half a month before they could kill them, all even if there were more than 8 trillion pigs. At that time, once the King of 10,000 Kings event ended, he would miss a lot. Unless it's a true god tier that can easily wipe out an whole clan, Zhou muttered. Since a true god tier could create a middle world, they naturally had the terrifying power to destroy an whole middle world. Killing more than 8 trillion life forms, to them, even in a place like the High Continent that restricted the true god tier forces, it would only take them a day to settle it. It would be even simpler in the myriad worlds. As long as a true god tier destroyed the source of the world, then no matter how big the living beings in this world were, how many billions of life forms were there, he could almost die in the instant of an eye. If he, Geralt, and the heavenly dragon god were to take action personally, the 800 trillion fiery clan members would be wiped out in less than an hour. Zhou closed his eyes and fell into deep thought. Even when Bai Yin came over halfway and told him that he had reached at the Crimson Fire domain, he did not say anything. He sat on the throne, unable to move, as if he was weighted down by something heavy. Chapter 994 Deafening. Let this king end this endless war. Zhou opened his eyes after an unknown period of time. He calculated the passage of time and realized that he had spent more than 3 hours thinking. No, it wasn't just 3 hours. It was 3 years, 219 days. I actually walked alone in the time world for so long without realizing it, Zhou muttered to himself. He looked ahead and realized that Bai Yun and the other generals were looking at him worriedly. Your Majesty, are you all right? Bai Yun asked worriedly. Zhou nodded and said, Now we will send the last notice to the Fire Cry race to persuade them to surrender. Those who are willing to surrender and become a citizen of the Blazing Sun Kingdom can be exempted from death and enjoy the normal treatment of the citizens of the Blazing Sun Kingdom. Those who are unwilling to surrender and become a citizen of the Blazing Sun Kingdom but have never participated in a war against the human race are exempted from death. However, you have to leave the Crimson Fire domain and find another place to live. This is because from today onwards, the Crimson Fire domain will be my territory. Only my own citizens are allowed to live in it. As for those who are not citizens of our country, if you wish to stay in the Crimson Fire domain, you can apply for a temporary residence permit and stay in the Crimson Fire domain temporarily. You will not enjoy the normal treatment of the citizens of the Blazing Sun Kingdom and will enjoy the temporary accommodation of the people of foreign races. And if those who have killed our clansmen and are unwilling to surrender now, and even resist violently, all such clansmen of the Fire Cry race will die. Finally, babies are innocent. Let them remember that all of you have suffered today because of what you've done in the past. One drink, one peck. The heavens are determined by my thoughts and personality. If you want revenge, my divine kingdom will be raised high in the sea of stars. You can see it when you look up. If you have the strength, you can head to the divine kingdom and declare war on me. If you can't even get close to my divine kingdom, then just leave. I can't be bothered to entertain you. Zhou said. There was silence below. Most of the generals and divine spirits present were also in contact with the extermination of their race for the first time. After hearing their king's notice of surrender, they were momentarily speechless. Among the people present, only Heros, Geralt, and Yuan Song had calm expressions. After a while, Yuan Song's expression became impatient seeing that no one replied. What are you waiting for? Yuan Song looked at the generals and the gods with disappointment. Didn't His Majesty give the order? Did someone record it? Are you stupid? Is this the first time you've heard of people who are not of our race having different intentions? His Majesty is already very benevolent. In fact, in my opinion, he's a little too benevolent. You guys are still trembling in fear and being wishy-washy. Have you forgotten? On the territory below the galaxy leader, there is a group of enemies who wanted to drag you humans into the abyss not long ago. They can stop you from retreating to the primordial world without hesitation. They want to watch as your human race is exterminated by the people of alien races. Yet you still have mercy on them? Yuan Song sneered. Have you forgotten the Great Xia Empire and the Heavenly Barbarian Empire, which have already turned into a nomological death zone? Yuan Song sneered. Have you forgotten the Great Xia Empire and the Heavenly Barbarian Empire, which have already turned into a nomological demise zone? Zhou lowered his eyebrows. It seems that you still remember. Yuan Song nodded. Then he suddenly said angrily, remember that you're still so wishy-washy. If we didn't help the humans retreat to the primordial world, the territory of the Great Xia Empire, and the Heavenly Barbarian Empire wouldn't have just turned into a nomological death zone. There would still be hundreds of trillions of humans, and their homes turning into ashes. No, under the attack of a true god tier, not even ashes would be left. There would only be scorched earth. A scorched earth that couldn't be approached for 100,000 years. Moreover, not all the humans of the Great Xia Empire and the Heavenly Barbarian Empire have migrated to the primordial world. Only those humans can take care of those who migrate to the primordial world, or those who have the ability to enter the primordial world themselves. As for those humans who can't be taken care of, they can't enter the primordial world themselves, and they can't escape from the Great Xia Empire and the Heavenly Barbarian Empire in time. I don't know how many of them there are. Perhaps there are billions or tens of billions, or even hundreds of trillions. They are the most pitiful humans, but no one will pity them. Where do you think they are now? Yuan Song looked at everyone. Everyone looked at Yuan Song in a daze. Yes. Yuan Song met everyone's gaze and said, they're all dead. They'll die in that nomological death zone where life forms hate and fear. No one erected a tomb for them, no one mourned for them, no one remembered them, and no one even dared to approach the place where they died. They perished in obscurity and in an extremely lowly manner. And them. Yuan Song pointed at the territory of the Fire Cry race in the outside world and said coldly, they're all murderers. Don't talk about accomplices. There have never been accomplices in this world. As long as they have participated, they are all murderers. Don't you think your current attitude is ridiculous? Don't you think you're shameless? Are you worthy of the mankind blood flowing in your bodies? Your Majesty. Yuan Song suddenly looked at Zhou and said indifferently, Your Majesty also has a large part of the reason for their attitude, or even the main reason. You've protected them too well. Even if they die in battle, you have to spend money and effort to revive them. I've lived for many decades and have seen many worlds and races. I've experienced many wars between lords and even races. However, this is the first time I've seen you treat your subordinates like this. Look at them, Your Majesty. This group of people who haven't even experienced the pain of their comrades dying many times. It's very difficult for them to understand what it means to have unforgettable racial hatred. In my eyes, they're like flowers in a greenhouse. They're weak and laughable, I even feel that their attitude towards war is like playing a game. Battle, exchange rewards, resurrection after death. Hee, now that you mention it, it really does seem like a game. I can't deny that His Majesty's method is very easy to nurture an incomparably powerful and fearless super strong army. However, after leaving your protection and losing the ability to resurrect, such a super strong army will probably find it difficult to accept the cruelty of true war. Zhou was silent for a few seconds and secretly looked at the Yuan Song's attributes list. Loyalty, 99. No problem. Zhou looked at Yuan Song, nodded and shook his head. You're right. But since this king has this ability, it's impossible for this king not to use it. It's impossible for this king to watch my soldiers die without doing anything. Furthermore, I believe that if other lords had the same ability, they would not abandon it just to see the cruelty of true war. At most, they would only use it with restrictions. Yuan Song looked at Zhou and nodded after a long time. This is also the reason why I'm willing to follow you. However, Your Majesty, you'd better reconsider the matter regarding the infants of the Firecry race. In a war between races, the most taboo thing is to have a kind heart. Even if it's a baby from the people of alien races, it's best to eliminate it completely. There's a saying in my race that goes, it's better for the shepherd's god race to betray the myriad races than for the myriad races to betray the shepherd's god race. Ever since I was born, I have engaged in many genocidal wars under the arrangements of the clan. Destroying the roots is the basic principle of our genocidal war. Zhou shook his head. Let the war of our generation end in our generation. But the war will continue. Yuan Song insisted. Then let this king end this endless war. Zhou insisted. Chapter 995 Faith, Eternal Peace. 1. Inside the Galaxy Leader, in the captain's room. All the generals and god spirits, including Yuan Song, looked at Zhou in a daze when he said this. In the endless war, not to mention true god tier, even master god tiers, supreme god realms, existences of wills, and even supreme wills would probably not dare to guarantee such things, right? The hatred is endless. It will be passed down from generation to generation. There will be no true peace. Yuan Song shook his head. He knew that it was extremely rude of him to oppose His Majesty. It could even be said that it was not an exaggeration to challenge His Majesty's prestige. However, the generals present were all highly loyal subjects of His Majesty. They were even fanatic believers and Holy Spirit tier believers. B0XO. Calm. No matter what he said to His Majesty to shake his prestige, it would not really shake His Majesty's prestige among everyone. Secondly, Yuan Song felt that it needed to use some straightforward and even cold words to break the naiveness in the hearts of the generals and even His Majesty. Yes, Yuan Song just felt that His Majesty and the generals' attitude towards war was too naive and childish. He had never had the chance to say it before. But now, he could take this opportunity to say everything he wanted to say. Thinking of this, he had a headache. As long as an army had experienced the pain of defeat, and the soldiers had experienced the pain of their comrades dying by their side, they would definitely not be like this when facing the enemy. They would not even be so wishy-washy as to wipe out an entire race. On the other side, after Zhou heard Yuan Song's words, he muttered, "Will the hatred go on forever?" He closed and opened his eyes. Zhou was online. Zhou, who had just logged into Zhou body, quickly knew what was being discussed. Was this theme that was so profound? Zhou shook his head and asked Yuan Song, "Yuan Kong, since war and hatred are endless, why do you think there's a war between the 10,000 races? We're at war with the enemy, and we're even willing to carry out a major event like extermination. What are we doing?" He looked at Yuan Song and asked. As soon as these words were spoken, all the generals and god spirits had solemn expressions. The answer to this sentence could be said to represent the basic concepts and thoughts of their future marching battles, as well as the core of the war concepts that supported them in battle. If there was no definitive answer to this question, they would hesitate in whatever they did in the future that was related to war. They might even be confused and hesitate to move forward. Therefore, what the Yuan Song and His Majesty said next would be extremely important. It even concerned how far they could go in the future. They immediately looked at Yuan Kong. Yuan Song hesitated when he heard this. As a god spirit, he had naturally formed his own view of war over the long years. Therefore, he was naturally hesitating not because he did not have an answer in his heart. He was hesitating whether to say the true answer in his heart. After a long time, he decided to follow his thoughts and confess to Zhou. Your Majesty, Yuan Song said in a low voice. Ever since I was born in the shepherd's god race, I have been receiving cultivation and war training in the race. After I passed the training, the race immediately sent me into the wars of the various races. To me, war is the trend of the era of the myriad races. It's the theme of countless chaotic eras. We're all wrapped up in it. We can't reverse it or change it. That's why the clan told us long ago. The war of all races cannot be changed, or even end before the Lord of all races is born. And the hatred will go on forever. Even if we are the high and mighty shepherd's god race, once we are involved, our lives will not be in our own hands. The reason why we joined the war when we were born is very simple. It is for the sake of benefits, and the pursuit of a stronger self and race. Increase in strength, collect resources, get to know experts, collect various channels. These are things that the shepherd's god race should be pursuing in this war. This is the definition of war in my heart. Yuan Song said respectfully. Zhou looked at him. Suddenly, he chuckled softly. Why are you laughing, Your Majesty? Yuan Song asked curiously. Was there a problem with what he said? I roughly realize why the Supreme will chose to choose the Lord of all races from us. The Lord of all races from the myriad worlds, rather than selecting the Lord of all races from the local lord factions in the high continent. Zhou said with a smile. Why? Yuan Song immediately trembled and gazed at Zhou anxiously. The answer to this question had troubled countless races for too long. They had never understood why the Supreme Will did not choose the Lord of all races from the local lords, who were already powerful and had a strong foundation. Instead, it spent a lot of effort to choose a large number of new lords from the myriad races in the world, and spent a lot of resources to nurture the Lord's power again. The Supreme Will was already threatened by the Crimson Overlord. Wasn't it a waste of time and resources to do such a thing now? Isn't it because the Supreme Will felt that we wasted too much time and didn't give birth to a Lord of all races? So it gave up on us and chose His Majesty's batch of lords. Yuan Song inquired curiously. You only see the most superficial reasons. Zhou uttered calmly. The real reason is that the local lords have become slaves of war. You all contemplated so anyway, let alone a race weaker than you. All of you local lords have begun to obey the war, and even enjoy it. You only want to obtain benefits from the war, and improve yourself to become strong. You don't want to end this war of tens of thousands of races. Do you think this is what the Supreme Will wants to see? What the Supreme Will wants to see is that after a series of screenings, a supreme existence will finally stand out. He can end the war and lead all races, becoming an absolute leader that no race is willing to submit to. This is the Lord of all races. And what you think and do is already very different from what the Supreme Will thinks. This competition between the 10,000 races of the high continent, which should have ended a long time ago, not only did not end, but because of your participation, the scale became bigger and bigger. The so-called War of All Races was actually personally created by you. The bigger the situation, the less unstoppable it is. The chances of the Lord of all races appearing will be smaller. The Supreme Will must have seen this. That's why He gave up on you and chose us, who are outside the game. From the first day we lords of all races came to the high continent, we were informed by the Supreme Will that our ultimate goal is to fight for the position of the Lord of all races. And Yuan Song, Zhou gazed at Zhou. How long has it been since the shepherd's god race, behind you seriously considered why the Lord of all races has yet to appear? Yuan Song gazed at Zhou in a daze. After a long time it muttered, I see. We were so immersed in the benefits of war, and the growing strength of our race that we neglected our original intentions. The Lord of all races has become a distant concept to us. Chapter 996 Faith, Eternal Peace. 2. Zhou ignored the confused and excited Yuan Kong. He stood up and looked at everyone. What Yuan Song said just now does make sense. However, what this king wants to tell you is that don't believe me. Everyone was stunned. Don't believe him? However, Yuan Song's words clearly sounded very reasonable. Zhou scanned the crowd and saw the change in their expressions. He said lightly, B0XO. Calm. I feel that treating war as a game in life and death, as nothing is in itself an incomparable power. In the novels I read in my previous life, there was a soldier type called the Fourth Calamity. It was so terrifying that it was difficult to find an opponent in the myriad worlds. This king feels that you guys are a little like the Fourth Calamity now. Let me ask you, what's wrong with being strong? What is wrong? Just because other lords can't resurrect soldiers and they feel the pain of war, do we have to learn from them, give up on resurrection methods and risk our lives? Isn't that stupid? Zhou cursed. How far do you think this fucking thought can go? Kick it away as far as you can. Besides, Yuan Song, what nonsense are you talking about? What do you mean by if I'm not around one day? Will my soldiers become weak chickens who can't accept the cruelty of war? Why would this king no longer be around? Let's put aside the truth and talk, right? What's wrong with you? This was the first time Zhou had scolded his subordinates so brazenly in public. However, not only did everyone not feel repulsed, their eyes lit up as they looked at Zhou. His Majesty was right. Why? Since he had the ability to revive, would he need to feel the pain of losing his family and friends? His Majesty is so powerful. How can he be gone just like that? The fourth disaster? We like that name. Zhou snorted coldly and said, moreover, even if I'm no longer around, you're not ordinary life forms. With your current strength, you can still live whatever life you want, right? Who can bully you other than a very small number of God spirits? Yuan Song. Zhou gazed at Yuan Kong. I'm here. Yuan Song said in a panic. Do you know what you did wrong? Zhou asked calmly. I was wrong to confuse your Majesty's soldiers with the soldiers of the other races. Yuan Song said honestly. At least you have some comprehension. Zhou said coldly. Your war thinking is still the same as before. It's only suitable for conventional wars and conventional soldier types. You're not used to at least 80% of my army. How can the army of tigers and wolves under my command be compared to the soldiers of the people of foreign races, who can be shattered with a single touch, and don't even dare to fight to the death? This king will now punish you by lowering your military rank to the level of uncommon soldier of the Blazing Sun Army. I will also punish you with 1 billion military merits. When you die 10 times in battle, and make up for your military merits, you can come back and restore your military rank. No one dared to speak anymore as soon as these words were spoken. They were all secretly clicking their tongues. What a harsh punishment. This punishment almost wiped out all the previous merits of the Yuan Song, allowing it to return to the beginning. Moreover, the pain of dying 10 times in battle was not easy to bear. Even though the soldiers under Zhou were not afraid of death when fighting, 9 out of 10 soldiers would not be willing to die for no reason, unless His Majesty himself gave the order. It was true death after all. One had to experience the entire process of death. That process, no matter how many times the soldiers had experienced it, they could not hide it. Thank you, Your Majesty. I accept my punishment. Yuan Song's face turned pale, but he still accepted obediently. He knew that this was His Majesty's most merciful punishment. Otherwise, with the words he had said to contradict Zhou before the battle, even if he had good intentions, he would have offended his prestige as His Majesty in front of everyone. With just this, he could be killed without hesitation. Zhou nodded and walked up to the generals and gods. What do you think of the domestic environment of our subjects in the Blazing Sun Kingdom? He suddenly asked. A dreamy place of peace. It's hard to find a place like the Blazing Sun Kingdom, where the subjects can live in peace and happiness. People are very happy to be able to eat their fill, live safely, have hope and hope for the future. In the words of His Majesty's hometown, it's like a paradise. It's the epitome of peaceful times. The generals and god spirits were not stingy with their praises at this moment. Even Yuan Song said, "I've seen countless lord factions, but I still feel that His Majesty's territory is the most peaceful I've ever seen. The most blissful territory where subjects live is simply not like the lord factions that exist in the high continent." Zhou nodded and gazed at the soldiers. He said slowly, "This is the answer I gave you. I don't care how the other lord factions define war. However, the goal of war is eternal peace in the eyes of this king. Soldiers and god spirits, you must have seen too much war. Are you willing to work with me to end this endless war of 10,000 races and create a true eternal peace?" Zhou gazed at his subordinates and suddenly said loudly, "We are willing." The soldiers and god spirits knelt on the ground and shouted as they gazed at Zhou with fanatical expressions. Their bodies suddenly emitted a faint 9-colored Lord's nomological light. At this moment, the nearly 300 soldiers and god spirits had all become Zhou's Holy Spirit tier believers. Zhou sensed the sudden surge in power of faith from his subordinates and nodded slightly. "Carol Moeli." Zhou gazed at her. "Your Majesty, I'm here." Carol Moeli said respectfully, "Conclude what I just said into an article, and send it to all the citizens of the Blazing Sun Kingdom. Especially the soldiers. We have to focus on publicity. Let them know that they are not only fighting for this king and the Blazing Sun Kingdom, they are also fighting for themselves, for the home behind them, and for eternal peace." "Yes, Your Majesty. I will definitely complete the mission given to me by Your Majesty," Carol Moeli said solemnly. Zhou acknowledged. From today onwards, the soldiers under him would become a group of soldiers with faith. In fact, sometimes, it was even more terrifying than pure strength and willpower that was not afraid of death. This kind of faith did not only refer to belief in the God Spirit, but also a certain belief, thought, pursuit of things, dreams, and so on. It could be called faith. With faith in the pursuit of eternal peace, even if they lost the ability to resurrect in the future, they could still fight on the battlefield without fear of death, and their daily lives would be filled with motivation to improve. This was something that pure strength could not provide. Furthermore, only him and his group of soldiers and god spirits who were fearless of death and had faith in them could escape the vengefulness of death caused by the war. Only such subordinates would be able to adhere to the purest dream of peace in this supreme continent, where grudges were endless. They would be able to end this eternal war and create an eternal peace that could truly be called a miracle. This was also where Zhou's true confidence lay. "My subordinates, eliminate the fire cry race who are unwilling to surrender for eternal peace. I will gather the true god tiers to fight together with you. Try to take down the Crimson Fire domain before sunrise tomorrow and exterminate all the Fire Cry clansmen who don't listen to advice." Zhou ordered calmly. "Yes, Your Majesty," the subordinates said respectfully. "You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure."